Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. And this is
Oh.
not our normal time. And we are normally Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but we've had a big event and we're going to kick it around with the CFC here. Now, I know that everybody and your brother is live right now. So I get that you may you may be distracted by other places. That's cool. We appreciate that. Let me just give you our selling proposition for what we're going to be talking about. That's probably different than what other folks are going to be talking about. Here at Council Future Conflict, we like to focus on the future part of conflict. But today, it's looking like this is that kind of potentially one of those sparks that could start that future conflict. So we're going to be kind of casting it in that point of view. There's a lot of domestic political implications, and we'll be talking about that. One of the things that I will not be doing personally on this show is, talking crap about the current president or anything like that. We're focusing mostly on Trump and the general environment of what we're seeing around this. So today I'm joined by a lot of the luminary members of the Council on Future Conflict. The man who wrote this story of what this future conflict is going to look like, Blaine Pardo. Thank you for being here, brother. We were talking in the back room. I felt like I was listening to the Prelude chapter, like some Prelude short story of what happened before Blue Dawn. This has got to be a little eerie to you.
It's a little bit eerie, and not in a good way, but a lot of this was predictable. I hate saying that, but Joe's been saying it for weeks. I've been saying it for weeks. I know other people on this call have been saying it. They've whipped up the rhetoric for this. It was unavoidable.
Yeah, if you've been listening to this channel, this is literally, tapping the sign that we normally talk about. We've been talking about global civil war, small, World War III will be a collection of small wars. If you wondered how the small war breaks out in America, this is how it happens. And I'm sure to talk about that and many other things. Don, I feel bad. There's no artillery involved in this story today, though there may be artillery down the line.
I mean, the left's been calling intermediate cartridge rifles artillery for the past 10 years. I think that's close enough. No. There might be artillery down the line, but I seriously doubt it.
OGA Ron wants to know, Ron, is it really that bad?
So for those who weren't around for the old show, a lot of the stuff that is happening now and or has been happening for the past 2 or 3 years, I was telling people back in 2017, 2018, and somewhere in the middle of that time frame, something happened, and I forget what it was now, and I flipped the flag, and I said, look, if you're not starting to call for distress now, you're going to be in a bad place in a couple of years. And here we are in a couple of years where I can't imagine how many people I have seen that are suddenly very interested in prepping, suddenly very interested in getting to know their community, these sorts of things, suddenly deciding that localized political power would be a good idea. And I don't know. I've been telling you for almost a decade now. Is it really that bad? Yes, it's really that bad. It's been really that bad. It's just a lot of it has bubbled below the surface for the past 5 years. And because it wasn't plainly and ridiculously obvious, because we had a former president who was assassinated 90 minutes or attempted to be assassinated 90 minutes ago, nobody wanted to hear it. And now that bullets have started flying at what should be otherwise untouchable people in the political realm, now everybody's excited.
Yeah, it's this is going to be a deep rabbit hole that we go down with this, and part of this will be leveling the bubbles with the audience and us, but it'll also be, there's going to be a lot of, we have a kind of rule on the channel, the 48-hour rule, but something like this, you can't do that, right? And so we're going to be kind of diving into this. Pretty deeply, and I'm glad you're here, Don. Sean, welcome. I hate to say that you told us so, but this is one of those kind of moments where we all have a little bit of I told you so going on in the back of our head, right?
I mean, there's a little bit of that. Thanks for having me. I am on shoestring internet, so this will be touch and go for me. But
Well, your sound is good, so
that's what I did so that I could have good sound. So I'm at work and I get the notification, and I'm in the middle of working, and the first thing that went through my mind is well, whether you love him or hate him, this was the exact wrong thing to do, because it's a bell you can't unring, and if you kill him, you start something you can't stop that you don't want, and if you don't, then you guarantee his victory. And so I guess we now get to hang on tight and see how this really does shake down, because the left cannot be happy with how this turned out.
Yeah, this is one of those kind of situations where the best case scenario for the left is to be able to do all the things that they do and then have all of their brain dead supporters not show up for this. But they just proved that you can't create this kind of a situation and not have people show up to do the deed. So last but not least, but definitely very passionate on this, Watcher, tell us where your head's at right now.
Hold on just a second. Come back to me. You come back to
well, okay, that's fine.
No. I have a clip. Exact. No. Not only that, but I'm trying to fix something, and I have an exact clip that I wanted to have ready to go, and because I was trying to fix something, I didn't have it, so I need like 20 seconds to find it.
And so we'll put out the best content on the internet. Dead air. It'll be great.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that, Jen. Sorry about that. I'm responding to my household 6 here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. There we go. All done.
Okay.
Door closed.
All right. I'm almost there. I've just got to find the right
Well,
part
but
of the clip.
Jason Long here, just to kind of feel a little dead air. Absolutely, Teddy Roosevelt style. He didn't get back up and tell the continue doing the speech after getting shot, but he definitely raised the hand of victory. All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
So I'm ready. How am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
War.
Talk about somebody who was ahead of the curve. Andrew Breitbart. Here's the thing, right? And we're not the ones calling for it. This is a declaration of war upon our worldview when Antifa, a member of Antifa, goes out and does this. Now, here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. I mean, this is just me talking. You guys may not agree with this, but this guy could not. It may completely be a standalone, complex, right? Somebody who ingested all these Antifa ideas, went to some rallies, saw the support for this idea, heard the Democrats on the news saying, "Oh yeah, he's a really evil, terrible guy, and somebody should do something about him." Right? What was it? Just last month, we had major news outlets saying somebody should do something about this guy, right? And he just says, "Oh, well, I'm somebody. I'm pissed off about this. I'm going to go out and do something," right? And I think that's a very likely scenario for what happened. Now, it only gets worse from there. A standalone actor is literally the best case scenario for us in this moment right now. It only gets worse once you find out that there's a conspiracy. Once he had a crew of like 5 or 6 people with him, and they were all talking on, they all had their Balfangs, kind of coordinating, so that he knew when he could shimmy up on that roof, right? Who knows? We've talked about potentially, hey, are there holes in the security, right? Are there people who are likely, within Trump's security that are motivated to let something like this happen, right? Oh, I see a guy on that rooftop. I'm going to look over here for a second, just, before I have to, actually address the threat. So it's a deep rabbit hole, and it's very dark at the end of it, right? It's one of those tunnels where there's no light at the end. And I pray we don't go down that way, because I've been to war and I've seen what it looks like. And it's really, really not good. Yeah, go ahead.
I know it's not $10, but the Kevin Dorr there.
Yeah. Kevin Dorr for $5 says, reports Trump's Secret Service detail asking for more help. DHS told them no last several weeks. Not a surprise. And this is going to they're going to get a lot of help, whether they want it or not, in the very near future. Just real quick, guys, let's go around the horn on.
Well, real quick, you said it, so now I have to say, you know who's rubbing his hands right now and viewing this as not only a chance to do his civic duty, but to do so in a way that is a huge marketing opportunity.
That's it.
Eric Prince.
Eric Prince, right? Exactly right. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see some sort of PMC effort to help protect Donald Trump. Joshua K, member for 8 months. By the way, this is a good opportunity to remind you guys, we are user supported. So if you want to support us, you saw the first way, the super chat. The second way is memberships. If you do get a membership over on YouTube, it's $5 a month, and you get one of these free member chats, which is essentially the equivalent to a $5 super chat. So Joshua K, member for 8 months. It's acceptable for Trump to say that his revenge is going to look like revenge now. Yeah, well, the irony is that whether they were directly involved or not in the actual act, they were co-signing and asking for it and instigating this type of event for months. And so to the extent that somebody does anything that smells like instigation, I think Trump absolutely can respond. Blaine, thoughts?
Well, this goes back to Kathy, what's her name, holding up the bloody head of Donald Trump. I mean, this goes back into his previous administration. They've been advocating for violence every step of the way. Harry Sisson, or whatever that little prissy guy is, he was going, Biden should send over SEAL Team 6 and have Trump killed. That was last week. They have been fomenting violence throughout this entire time. And that's what's led to people thinking they can pull, a Jack Ruby here and be the hero of the day. I'll be the guy that shoots the bad guy and America will love me for it. There's always some crazy person out on the fringe. We don't know much about this person. The initial report says that he's got some ties to Antifa. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But it also tells me that the Department of Homeland Security has been spending all their time focusing on right-wing extremists. And it turns out that they really should have probably been looking at left-wing extremists too.
Right. So the shocking thing is the violent domestic extremists that I'm seeing out there are almost entirely left wing or motivated by things other than American conservative ideas.
Well, now, hold on. We can't necessarily say that. That is the people who we've seen thus far. But the left is trying desperately to pin up this narrative that their pet groups that they've wheeled out to be their pet Nazis are definitely right wing, even though they espouse the left wing ideology.
Let's say a little more about that.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm sorry, all those who want to laugh at horseshoe theory, it's absolutely true. The people on the, quote, far right of the American political, the horseshoe theory makes sense not because it's true, but because American political theory is fucked up. Right? The way we view left and right is entirely wrong. However, as soon as you talk about the people that are your wignat idiots that are running around in their dumb masks doing their things, and what are the things that they're propagating? They want socialism. They want exactly the type of socialism that the other side wants. They just want it with their values on the front of it, and only going to the people that they think are the right people to get how do I put this? To have the loot distributed to them, right? Because ultimately, that's what all government takings are.
I mean, Don.
Yeah, you're right there. Sean, go ahead, and then we're going to go to the media rules about this event, just so everybody knows what rules we're going to be following here, so that we can be seen as proper members of the media here at the Future Conflict channel. Go ahead, Sean.
Actually,
I'm
going to shut the hell up because you got some things to do. You got money.
Oh, there.
Yeah, I just saw it. So first, yeah, I don't know how I missed these super chats. Where are they? I see them at the top, but I don't see them. Oh, there we go. Okay, they just came in. Okay, here we go. First one is Stormy. Nice to have you in the chat, Stormy. I know it's bedtime where you're at, so appreciate you. Thanks for doing the stream council. The Dems have been normalizing mental health issues for years, and the population is their group most likely to act with problems. 100%, right? And this kind of goes to the homeless problem in America. This goes to a lot of things, right? We have just said, oh, hey, listen, everybody's fine, everybody's okay. Your problems aren't really problems. You're normal, right? That's what we've been saying to these people who are. I mean, this is how you get the trans shooter in Nashville.
Hold up, this is too good. This is too good. I'm gonna even interrupt a super chat for this.
Okay.
Let me.
Yeah. This picture. I just shared this with you. Yeah. This is amazing.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
This
is
is
a private chat.
This is insane. I can't believe somebody actually.
Yeah, so let me read it here. A remarkable photo captured by my former White House press corps colleague, Doug Mills. Zoom in on the right above President Trump's shoulder, and you'll see a bullet flying in the air to the right of President Trump's head following an attempted assassination. That is I wonder if that's the one that clipped maybe him, and then you're seeing some of the ejecta, the blood or whatever coming with the bullet that's making it more visible.
I heard that the shots happen from behind where the stage is, but considering how he's turned.
Okay.
So
well,
maybe this
I just figured
maybe this is incoming, not outgoing.
I think it's incoming because this is a good opportunity for us to go to the image of where. So let me get this Amo's currency for 1776. God bless you, brother. Lord, let this moment that gives us Trump, the left talks about. Yeah. Well, so right. I mean, within 5 minutes of me waking up this morning and hearing the kind of the initial dump on this, and you got to remember, my initial dump came from the Korean media, actually, not the U.S. media, because my wife was on her phone and woke me up.
So I got to give people what we've got here. This is where it happened. This is roughly where the podium was.
Can you zoom in on that?
Oh, absolutely. It's just not going to get much more. It's
there we go. So. All right. So he was facing this open field, right? And so the shooter was on this kind of
I've got that highlighted somewhere. Let me find that.
Well, the one that I was gonna say, the one I had that I shared actually had the building circled and the orientation of the stage.
Here we go. This one.
Okay, so the stage is roughly on this road here in the center of the and he was shooting kind of from basically stage right.
Your blue pin is exactly where Trump was. Yeah, so that would have been incoming. That's exactly what that was.
He was looking off, up to this kind of. No, he was looking the other way, the exact opposite way.
No, he's looking at the shooter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's looking towards the shooter, kind of off to the left of the shooter is where he was looking at, based on.
He has to, because otherwise they'd be shooting through that crowd that was in the bleachers behind him.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is where the crowd was. Okay. Now I get it.
Yeah. And by the way, it is worth noting that people in the background were hit. And I think the report right now is that 2 are dead.
Let me get you that video that I've got. Hold on.
While we do it, Philip Coughlin's a member for 22 months. The shooter was on a roof 400 feet to Trump's right. So, yeah.
Careful with the video of the body. You are on.
Oh, no,
that will nuke you.
Not that one. I'm talking about the video where the guy's talking about it. Talking about the folks in the crowd who got hit. Let me pull that up. Here. This is essentially folks that are right near the same part of the bleachers where it happened, or where people got hit.
I just felt it. Crack in my ear. I could hear it. It was right underneath us. Yeah, right. It was close, and it was behind us.
Did they get them? Did they?
Oh my God, is everybody else?
Now,
Listen.
No, just those two guys. Oh my God, and they were both veterans. He was a veteran, was he not?
Yeah, I think it was. Two people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Two people shot, both veterans. One of them was a Marine. And then, unfortunately, we know the fate of one of them because this ER doctor who was in the crowd and rushed to help.
That's exactly where I heard him come from.
What did you see, sir?
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around, was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter there. And so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him. So I got people there really helpful. I got
Was
him
there only
up
one
on the
person
bench.
shot that you saw?
Then I did CPR, did chest compressions as well as I breathed for him.
One person.
I was the only one that did it.
We need to evacuate everyone.
Yeah, and you can, in the video of the injured guy in the bleachers, you can see that guy there in the center. So God bless somebody who runs to the sound of the guns and immediately starts giving aid like that. I'm sorry, I just had a cat failure right next to me.
Cats stop for no one.
Well, it's just, he saw something he wasn't expecting on his little cat tower and it scared the crap out of him. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Looking at what happened, it's just, I'm glad those people were there in the crowd, and, you hate to see veterans fall. But I get the feeling that we're going to see more of that, unfortunately.
We haven't actually watched the initial video. And I do have that.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Real quick, I want to comment. In every video I've heard, it sounds like a suppressed rifle and subsonic ammunition.
It's not suppressed. Now, here's the reason why I say that is because he's shooting from 400 feet away, so you're getting audio from downrange. And downrange, you're hearing the supersonic cracks of the rounds.
Okay, you're right.
And here's the other reason why it sounds weird, right? Like every time I've been downrange of bullets that I could actually hear in the crack and everything, and the whiz and the kind of angry bee kind of hum.
Yeah, I'm used to that.
It was a lot closer to me. This is that you're getting a weird sound because it's getting picked up on these high quality mics that the TV cameras are using, which are not right next to.
That's probably true. It's not my ears there in the crowd hearing it, which is part of why it sounds
exactly
odd.
Right.
And they're designed to not pick up peaks. So, go ahead, Don.
Yeah. Don?
I was going to give the exact same speech that I gave like 3 separate times about shotgun mics and how, to just demonstrate the point, basically, I don't have a $5,000 shotgun mic that, all of the news is reporting with. But if I so much as do this, then the sound of my voice gets really ridiculously bad very quickly, right?
Yeah.
And all that is just a mild 30-degree angle change from directly in front of my face, right? There is any number of people who have come out with it. It's a 22, it's this, it's that. Like you have no idea right? And most of the time that you're listening to this at shootings, what you're getting is this at a cell phone audio, which is a very wide angle. It collects sound a lot differently than shotgun mics. Those mics are either the audio pipeline from the mics directly in front of Trump, which are also shotgun mics, or they're those camera-mounted shotgun mics that are not going to pick up any of the intervening sounds. So it's going to sound incredibly distorted. Even though it could very well be, 308.
Hey, real quick, fun fact that I just want to toss out there. It's total non sequitur. It's apropos of absolutely nothing. Did you know that Secretary Mayorkas, the head of the DHS, is also the head of the Secret Service?
Irony.
What a coinkydink.
Shocking that they got turned down to.
Somebody, a good friend of ours, just. Oh no, wait, that's not the one. This one.
John has a long mustache. Yeah. Hey, I guess they're saying on CNN that somebody is in custody. Makes me wonder if this, wasn't a little crew that was set up to support this guy. Real quick, I want to go over to Rumble. I got a couple super chats over there, and then I know I have at least one in YouTube. So Peter Shays Helicopter Tours for $5 says, I can't stress how much I dislike communism and socialism. I know Scott is limited on what he can say. I can say fuck communism all day long. So that is not off the table. But yes, my opinions on people are limited. I know Scott is limited on what he can say, but Mayorkas' hands are all over this. Also, during the Summer of Love, FBI and DHS worked with Antifa. Yeah, and here's the thing. Now that something like this has happened, there is an actual motivating factor to get a lot of the dirt and that's out there, out in public, and have hearings, and people get fired. And and oh, by the way, once Trump gets elected, now you have a reason to actually have prosecutions potentially against people who may have done something, criminally wrong that, when there was a credible threat. I wish we had Joe here, because this is absolutely his kind of thing, VIP protection and all that kind of stuff. But
Scott, via Newswire.
One person in custody after attempt on Trump assassination. Yep, 100%. This leads me. So it's kind of like every time we find out it's more than a new person is involved in this attack, it just kind of broadens the cone of what could potentially come out of this.
Well, hold on, because that's not necessarily what's going on here, right? How many police reports have we seen suspect in custody and it's a bunch of cops standing around a body?
Oh,
right?
I get that.
Check out this angle of the counter snipers. This is a new one I hadn't seen yet.
Oh yeah, on top of the barn.
And that's a little bit old. That shot's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something to say.
So push pause.
So they do engage him right there.
Okay. Push pause on that. Now let's play that redheaded stepchild who the BBC did the interview with, because this kind of gets to timing, right? And guys, this is the more we kind of get off the X of the actual incident, the more we're going to start kind of going down the path of like, well, who knew what and when did they know it and what could happen, right?
Well, and pray for this man.
Someone who was you weren't inside the event.
Also, real quick, chances he's a Floridian. I'm saying
I'm going to go with Key West.
Not taking.
I am saying hi.
Taking that bet.
Tell us what you saw. So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us.
I can barely hear it.
Yeah. Do we have a better audio version of this clip?
When we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up.
I will look for one while it's going.
Stand by the trees up there under the shade and watch and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see them, but we could hear them. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed a guy bear crawling up the roof of the building, beside us, 50 feet away from us.
Oh, yep. Okay.
So we're standing.
So hold on. Let me transfer here. Let me find out where we're at in this video and then see if it lines up. Okay. So this does not contain the whole interview that I had a 4.5 minute interview. This is only 2 minutes, but the audio is better.
Hey, real quick, before you do that, let me get the next super chat. Imagine if the shots happened when a Democrat was on stage, it would have been way more urgent than possible shots fired. In fact, the next thing we're going to talk about after this interview will be how they're approaching the story. So let's listen to the interview.
Right, we couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain.
So push pause. So they were on the radio. They knew things were happening, and there was a potential. And I bet that's the reason why you saw the orientation of those counter sniper guys. If you pull up the picture of the counter sniper guys again, and they were absolutely looking in the direction of the shooter when the shooter made his shots. And so, this kind of goes to well, what were they waiting for? Why didn't they shoot? Now, I mean, we're not inside the heads of those guys. They may not have had clear target identification. They may have been looking off to the right a little bit or off to the left a little bit. They're looking for the targets, right?
I need to refine that video. I don't know where I put it. Oh, there we go. I don't know. It looks to me like he takes a shot. So we'll rewatch it.
Well, quick. he probably did take a shot, but he probably takes a shot after the gunman shoots.
A couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Look at that.
He fired.
He fired, and it was
immediately.
It was immediately. Except for shots are still coming down range.
Yeah, so right. So either he shot and missed,
which, by the way, if you watch what happens to his tripod, good, bad.
That's a little. You want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Yeah. Did you see how right before the first shot, you saw the guy's head move back down? I think he was doing. I think he was taking a shot, and he may have mortally wounded the sniper with the first shot, but the sniper was still on the trigger. And Watcher, you know how it is. It doesn't take a whole lot to start popping rounds off. And
this
maybe
is
that
going to sound terrible, but it's back and to the left.
Mm-hmm.
The guys who've watched the JFK movie get that.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. Okay, we got Stormy's. Our mage leader here says, Tom Clancy's ghost is haunting us. I want off this ride, Mr. Bones. Yeah, let me just be honest. I do not want to sign up for or sign my family up for the future conflict that we have coming. But I don't know that we have a choice. Conflict happens whether you want it or not. Stormy again for $2. Mostly peaceful shots fired, y'all. Okay. And here's the thing, right? You're going to have to laugh about this. The good news is that Trump is alive. He will continue forward. A
leftist shitbag is slumped on a roof.
Anybody want to wonder if people are saying, well, I'm going to have to copycat on this, right? I'm going to have to do my bit to kill the bad man.
I think the deterrent of getting a dead
Blaine
sniper.
first. Blaine, go ahead. No, you're it's your turn.
Blaine
Blaine
was up first. Yeah.
The deterrent of a dead sniper does give a little bit of deterrent to anyone stupid enough to try this. It doesn't stop the guy with a car bomb or the person who's like a school shooter that has a death wish to begin with.
Yeah.
Nothing will stop those people because they already have committed themselves to die. So, but a normal person that might be normally whipped up into, I hate Trump so much I could go kill him. Yeah, this is going to kind of draw some wind out of their sails.
I hate to disagree with you, but I have to. The fact that he got so close, I think it's the exact opposite. I think there are a shit ton of them who are absolutely and completely nihilistic because it's a part of what their worldview, you have to be in order to hold their same worldview. They think we're all going to die if we let this fascist get elected, period. And he's going to send us to these camps and Project 2025 and all this swirling dark bullshit that they've got going on in their narcissistic circles. Well, I think this is absolutely going to encourage far more. And I've called this the first attempt for a reason.
My take is kind of a blend off of both of what you guys said. I mean, the one thing to remember is that, the crazies who are willing to sacrifice themselves often are motivated by like a seemingly religious zeal, right? And what we have on the left is a non-theistic religion where martyrdom is absolutely acceptable. We've seen that with the trans shooter in Nashville and several others. So I do expect that some people are going to come out of the woodworks and say, "Hey, look, he's not immune. He's not invincible. We can get him. It just takes a different tact, right?" Now it's going to be tougher with if they quadruple the size of his and I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see PMC, like some sort of a PMC getting involved in the protection, increased protection game on Trump, especially during the actual campaign, because there's only so much Secret Service out there. Let's be honest.
See, but what's Eric Prince's handle? I should go check out what he's saying on Twitter right now.
Scott, you got 3 more.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of working my way down the list here. Philip Coggins for $10 says Sean Politically Correct is saying that it might. By the way, Sean is live, and if you don't listen to us, Sean would be another great place to listen to. But I would say he's got a different take on this probably than we do. And if he ends his stream early, he definitely invited to come on over here. Sean Politically Correct is saying that it might have been glass from the teleprompter that wounded Trump. Yep. So what we kind of covered that too. And we are not sure. I think north to south, thumbs up, guys. I think we think this is a bullet wound, not a shrapnel. Blaine.
The picture
Trump has actually issued a statement saying he was hit by a bullet.
Okay, so there we go. Do we have that statement, Watcher?
Yeah, it's here somewhere. There's so many.
Probably
there are so many links.
I know.
Scott,
just go ahead.
Just because it's kind of triggering me, it's potentially criminally not politically correct.
Yeah. Did I say politically correct? I'm sorry.
Twice.
It's all right.
Criminal. Thank you. Yeah. My mind is going faster than I read for sure.
I know. I just wanted to make sure everybody.
This is a statement from Donald Trump over on Truth Social. I want to thank by the way, I bet Truth Social blows up a little bit after this as well. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all law enforcement for the rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of the person who was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong when I heard the whizzing. So, by the way, that whiz of a bullet, you will never forget that sound going close to your head. Who was let's see,
the angriest Hornet you've ever heard,
and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place. I got to get rid of this super chat that's on the screen here.
I got it. Yeah. Welcome.
And immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized that it was happening. God bless America. Yeah, absolutely. Jim, welcome. Nice to have you here, brother. Thoughts on what we've been seeing here this evening?
I'm kind of pissed off, Scott. I'm
Amen,
a little bent out of shape, and I was with neighbors, and phone rings, and somebody says it appears Donald Trump got shot, and I went, okay, you have confirmation, and they said no, but somebody present just told me. So this is just unacceptable. And I think I'm going to guess that Blaine and Don probably expressed the, over 50 kind of, I'm pissed off about this world. This is just so unacceptable because we've seen it coming for 7 years. We've been talking about it.
I'm not over 50.
They've been ascribing blame. Yeah, I'm sorry, Don. You just got some.
Just look
you
over
got some
50.
friction, right? You coming out that barrel at 1,200 feet per second.
Yes.
It happens. Exactly. It's hot. It's hot. It burns. I don't know. I decided to kind of sign in and say hi because I'm just angry. And I'm angry that for 7 years, we've been ascribed blame for the potentiality for violence. And somebody took a shot at Donald Trump. And I think we've probably all talked about this at some point, which is we've been afraid for the guy. And he's a guy who chose to get out in front of something. He's not a politician. He's not trained to do this. And lo and behold, here we are. So I just wanted to hop on and opine as the mandrill with the inflamed red nostrils. And you don't want to see the photo of my ass right now because it's brighter red than my nostrils.
Have you seen,
if I may,
have you seen the picture yet?
Which one?
The bullet. You can see the bullet.
Yeah, shit. Yeah. Can you see?
It?
Literally going through the air.
But I'll tell you what pisses me off about that is it is the most popular small caliber rifle in the United States.
We haven't mentioned that on the show yet, but reports are coming out that it was an AR style platform.
Oh, well, my Lord, how perfect is that?
As well it should be.
Brother Stan.
Speaking of over 50, Don, the old men get the top one.
Demoted for youth.
Don, Don, you just had more friction early, right? It was just, it's that life on the Honda at 125 in the rural roads.
Mazda, thank you. I'm substantially
Mazel, baby.
Before we get too far past what Jim said,
Stop. No, I'm sorry. We have to cover this. Sources with Donald Trump are claiming that despite today's assassination attempt at a campaign rally,
he said that like an hour ago.
Will still be in attendance at tonight's UFC event. He is straight up Teddy Roosevelting this.
He's going to be with Dana White.
So, speaking of Teddy Roosevelt, welcome, Stan. How are you?
My guys, how are you?
Well, it's we're all a little pissed off here. Jim was kind of accurately, kind of taking the zeitgeist of the over 50 crowd and how just angry we are because we all saw this coming.
So, yeah, there's no surprise to any of this. It's just a little earlier than I thought. I thought they'd wait until after the Republican convention to try this, but they didn't. So, and I'm sorry, everything that's coming out about this stinks to high heaven. So this guy's on a roof, 150 yards from the stage. There's no
clear view of snipers.
Yeah, and just it's this is Lee Harvey Oswald with a Mannlicher in the book depository with the bullet that changed directions and got John Connor. I mean,
that's a great photo. I'm just glad they didn't have Don with them because Don, if you take something you were trained on as a young person, it would have been a hell of a lot.
It would have been messy.
Well, the just wouldn't have been as kind of, gee, what happened? Was it a wasp? you know, I'm going to almost guarantee it was a wasp, and it's going to be some young wasp who's completely disoriented by nature of his university.
Stop! No, I want to start the betting pools now before it comes out. Was he trans?
Well, no. Here's the thing. I just want to say, Jim, I would rather get shot in the ear with 5.56 than be stung again by an Asian hornet, which I have had happen to me. It is way more. It is the most painful experience I've ever had in my life.
Well, no, but Scott, you're exhibiting bias on the Asian hornet thing.
Why are we on YouTube?
You got to take into account that it's a Japanese murder hornet.
Well, if this gets us kicked off YouTube, then so be it.
We've said it before. We're broadcasting what we want on YouTube. We still do a lot of stuff on here, but if it gets us kicked off, it gets us kicked off.
Okay. As long as we have
I'm not censoring any of you guys' points of views on this topic. I'm only censoring my own point of view.
Read the side chat, Jim. Read the side chat.
I'm going to get a glass of wine and be right back.
All right, real quick, let me catch up on super chats because we've got several people who have been very generous, and I want to get them out. Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says, "Witness said the shooter was climbing on the blind side of the roof, out of sight of the sniper. Most likely peeked to shoot when he was returned fire." Yeah, I get that. It's a roof like this, and he basically comes up to the crest, and he's only looking over for a second. But that being said, they did have a call, and that there was something going on with that rooftop. So that doesn't pass the smell test for me.
There were people all around there. No.
Guys, look, one of my best friends, okay, was an advanced man for Ford. Okay, there is no way on God's green earth that rooftop, 150 yards, direct line of sight, wouldn't have had counter snipers on it from the very beginning.
So this brings me to the thing that I was asking you when you first got here. Did you catch the video of the sniper that takes a shot at him? Because that dude barely moves the rifle, if at all, to take a shot.
He's on target. He's aimed on target when it happens. Yeah.
Right. Aimed on it. Shot hits Trump, and he pulls the trigger like immediately.
Yeah. So cover them, and then I have a quick comedic break. Go.
Log Cabin School for $10 says, "Anyone think we get a flag at half staff tomorrow?" I don't think so. Though I would bet if anybody thinks of this, it'll be somebody in the White House, right? Like they're doing everything they can to jump on the optics of the veterans who died, at the Trump rally. And they will blame Trump for their death, of course. Amo Currency for $10 says, "Fly your flags upside down at half mast tomorrow." Yeah. All right, Watcher.
So like I said, we need to start a betting pool on if they're trans or not. I just want to share this. We need a quick comedic break, especially now that we've got. Don't start sipping your wine yet, there, Virginia gentlemen. This might blow it out your nose. We're just gonna watch the intro to this video. I think you guys will appreciate it. It's a gentleman who I've brought to the show several times, Mr. Sam Hyde, in coordination with a gun tuber named Administrative Results. Enjoy.
All right, so when you're looking at your firearm and the trigger pull, a lot of what goes into
active shooter drill. Is the active shooter trans? Did you identify their penis?
Now, Sam Hyde.
All right.
I'm not sure I understand the relevance of that, but that's okay.
Like I said, I need a betting pool on if this shooter was trans.
I don't know. You're not trans if you have a neck beard. You're just poor genetics.
Right.
Well, look, it's just training, right? You can't expect a guy to shave for that.
So there are two things that happened today that are really standing out to me. One of which is I'm really tired of them blaming the right as the threat, right? I think we're all probably on board with that. The second thing is the archetypal image of this shows a flag of the United States hanging above Trump as they're picking him up, and it appears inverted by the nature of which it's hung. And I think this is maybe where Don picked it up.
Yeah.
It is going to be this is the image of what happened today.
Yeah, it is.
And I think everybody will go, damn, I've known for 7 years we were on this path to this image. And It isn't a call to violence. It's just a call to wake the fuck up. Right?
So
that image is the entire rest of the campaign. Period.
Yes.
And
Look,
and it should not.
because
There
this
should
comes
not
up-
be any confusion, and there should never be a conversation where you're in a room with people going, "This man is the dangerous thing." He isn't the dangerous thing. The dangerous thing, what was fomented today by the nature of them attacking everybody who would not get in line with their absolute crazy left-wing BS. I spent an hour today briefing somebody on the new units of the left that have been coalesced and funded in the last 2 years. It's insane. And they went, "Oh my God, I had no idea." And this stuff goes back to the 70s and 80s. And people are pumping money into it because those are who they have to put into the field. And they'll be on the ground in Milwaukee. I got invited to go to Milwaukee. And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to be in the wrong city," right? I got to go somewhere else for other reasons. I said, "I'd love to be in Milwaukee because it's going to be an incredible study on history, looking at who comes out and does insanely crazy shit." And literally 4 hours later, somebody takes a shot at Donald Trump. And it's just unacceptable in our system that we allow this. But what's more unacceptable is we allowed the run up to this. We allowed the political and bureaucratic run up to it. And we saw it in Richmond with the attacks on the Catholic peoples. We've seen it in the disassociation of the data around who the threats are. The conservative movement is not the threat to this country. And I think that this really articulates this more clearly than anything I can say. And we've been saying it for years, and we've fallen on deaf ears in the media. I hope the media is embarrassed enough to begin to pay attention. That's all I ask.
Kevin Dorr for $10 says, "It sounds like his counter sniper team on top of the roof was the only counter sniper team. If these guys were the only team and they took out the sniper, I don't want to dirty those guys up. Why only one CS team?" Absolutely correct.
It's budget. It's budget and ask Homeland Security. Pick the phone up and call your senator right now and ask him why.
It goes to this tweet right here that Dan Bongino just said. He says, "I want to repeat, I can absolutely confirm that the U.S. Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle has repeatedly turned down requests for larger security footprint around President Trump, despite knowing the threat is catastrophic."
At the same time, they're not going to give Robert Kennedy coverage.
Listen, as I brought up earlier, coincidental, just apropos of absolutely nothing. Do you know who's in charge of the Secret Service ultimately?
Yeah, the head of Homeland Security.
Mayorkas.
Yeah, weird. Oh, odd thing that.
Yeah.
Well,
Watcher, I don't understand why you're concerned.
But guys, there's a bigger question here, though. Okay, and that is Trump's smart enough to understand this stuff. And I've read for a long time he's had dual detail.
Yeah.
So where was his detail? Right? The private security guys. Why were they not on that? That's a whole different question.
I wouldn't be surprised if his details more focused on close personal security versus
maybe
the counter.
Maybe that needs to change.
I agree. Again, that's what I'm saying.
I keep hitting F5 on Eric Trump or on
Eric
Prince's page, waiting for him to make a statement about this.
I wish Dolio was on tonight because
he said he will be if he gets it. He's out and about. If he can, he's going to be in. So
no disparagement meant. I think what happens is in certain states, usually liberal states, private security has the inability to engage a larger bubble. Right? They don't like them. They resist them. And in the case of Trump, I'm going to guess Pennsylvania, they probably push you in politically. So I'm going to guess they were doing what they could. But if you're in a non-compliant state, vis-a-vis California and New York, it's really hard. Private security has a problem unless they're locals and they're in the model.
People are talking about Eric Prince for VP. That's not a solution. The solution,
Correct.
the solution for VP is simple. I think, and I've said this before, I think that Trump ought to pick Mike Flynn for vice president and turn him fucking loose.
I agree totally with Stan going back 10 years.
Real quick,
and I hope Ron is awake and chewing on his
He's in the chat. Yeah,
Ron, he's sniping from the
Mike
chat.
Flynn, put him in, let him fix it.
You give him the badge, you give him the mandate, you give him the budget, and you say, you and Peter Navarro go to town.
Well, you guys said earlier, you're surprised it happened early. That's probably a large part of the reason why is that he hasn't announced a VP pick yet.
Well,
so if they take him out, then guess who gets to pick his replacement whole cloth at the convention?
Blaine.
All I could say is, I got to punch out, guys. I've been fighting a cold here. This has been great. I really hope we get Kristi Noem now as head of DHS, and she can go take them out behind the barn, the guys that screwed this up.
Yeah, I get the. I mean, I don't want to get too Pollyanna-ish, but I can't imagine a world where this isn't the end of the election essentially today.
Well,
Assuming he survives between now and November.
You know whose sphincter is puckered right now? Zelensky.
Zelensky.
I think you mean Putin, President Putin.
We'll see you later.
Well, and hey,
Yeah,
you know what?
Yeah.
Bye, Blaine. It was good to have you. Appreciate you coming in, man.
Yeah, thanks, Blaine. We'll see. Get better, brother.
So I think the man to talk about this right now, our first international, or at least the first international reaction I saw, is the person who I saw share it. Stan, why don't you tell us about what old Orban said?
Well, yeah, I mean, Orban, God love him. I really do. I don't remember exactly what he said. I did share it, but I mean, Orban beat Biden to the punch on trying to be a statesman on this.
Oh, by like an hour.
An hour, and then Biden's comment was just more blather for less than a minute. So, hey, Colonel Mike Bennett, there was your statesman opportunity, and he fumbled it. Okay, so don't tell me about let's all kumbaya here.
Well, you know, Stan, he's been showing the world how to statesman for the last 2 weeks here with all the trips that he's been on. That's one thing we haven't had a chance really to talk about. You know, Orban's whirlwind tour here lately, and the greatest.
But see, that's the point. The point is with Orban. Orban is every bit as a marked man as Trump is from a European perspective. You know, he has taken the presidency in a rightful rotation of the European Union, and he's decided, fuck it, I'm going to try to make peace. And he has pissed off everybody that is an unelected bureaucrat within the EU Commission, and they're gunning for him. There's 120 European Parliament members who want him dragooned out of office as the president of the EU, because he dared to say, I'm going to try to make peace. And he went and talked to first Zelensky, then Putin, then Xi Jinping, and then Donald Trump. And then he went to the NATO summit, and then he went to go see Donald Trump.
Yeah,
and they're gonna schwack him too.
Let me get through some of these super chats here real quick. Well-armed Corgi for 99 says, I honestly think they've understaffed Trump security detail on purpose. I don't disagree with that. We've kind of already covered that. Phil Coglins for $10 says, was there an ISR drone above the event? Would it be prudent given an open air? Absolutely. If the Secret Service doesn't embrace the future of drone and counter drone operations, eventually instead of a bullet coming after Trump, it's going to be a first person drone like what we see in freaking Ukraine against the Ukrainians and the Russians. So I think, Watcher, I'll get a comment from you on that. What's your kind of take on maybe ISR or lack of ISR or ISR defense at these things?
From what I have seen, okay, so first of all, anytime any of these comes, there is a no-fly zone declared. And not only that, but inside the drone apps themselves, if you're not using a jailbroken app, it just flat out, it will not allow you to fly there. It's part of the law that they instituted a couple years ago. That no-fly zone goes for many miles above where the event is going to be for the period of the event. I can't imagine they didn't have some... It would boggle my mind if they didn't have multiple, like several guys on drones watching the crowd. How could you not in the modern day with how cheap that is and how effective it is to be able to monitor such a wide area? But the fact is, I haven't seen anybody mention that there were drones there.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm gonna call out somebody in the chat. I think it's Pete Hamsterly. His tweet or his comment in the chat. First there was Fico. So Robert Fico, the Slovenian prime minister, they tried to assassinate him.
He just came back on the job this week too.
He did, and so the pattern is starting to shape up. So my understanding is that the guy that got shot, the shooter, has been identified as Antifa and supposedly had a video on YouTube that justice was coming. This all stinks, boys and girls. It really stinks. It's too cute. It's too pat. It's been wrapped up too quickly. It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. There's more to the story than this.
It stinks to me too.
Particularly given the situation with that rooftop.
I got the photo that I wanted. We cannot share it on stream, any stream, anywhere.
Watch your check the private chat. I just dropped we were talking about Kimberly Cheadle at the Secret Service.
Okay, but let me finish my statement real quick. I can now say, yeah, well, is that the one of them? Oh, wait.
If you have a picture,
which private chat?
Private chat.
No. It's already
this video's private chat.
Ah, gotcha. That's
before she was put in charge of protecting the president. It's kind of
we're gonna have to download it and make it bigger because it was just tiny.
Scott.
Yeah.
Private chat.
Yeah.
Do not show that.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. That's what I was just talking about for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. That's okay. That's the guy in the Yeah. So that's out there. That will also be a very famous picture, I imagine. All right.
That's a dude.
Dude looks like a lady. This is a tweet from Elon. That's just a repost from Elon Musk. He says, so before being put in charge of protecting the president, she was guarding bags of Cheetos. It says here that she was the senior director of global security at PepsiCo. Well, I mean, that makes her. That's what I would want. I mean, when I'm looking for somebody in charge of my,
Hey, where did Don go?
Don dropped. I don't know that he told us he
said, "All right, gents, I'm out."
All right, yeah, that's probably bedtime for him. What time is it where you guys are at, by the way?
Well, I mean, 7:52.
I made fun of our
yeah, you're. For me, it's 10:50 in the morning. So
I don't know if I said this, but we can definitely confirm the shooter was not Chinese.
That's good to know.
So do we have an actual identification on who this guy is? I mean, he definitely looks like an Antifa guy, but he clearly is not the guy in the picture, the fat dude, right?
Best communist I've seen all day.
Yeah, this is a tweet from Tim Kennedy. I'm sharing in the private chat. Watch her.
In fact, I'm gonna make sure to share this before it goes and disappears, or not share, but I'm gonna make sure to download this before it goes away.
Yeah, the vice grid.
Good stuff. All right, so it's from Tim Kennedy.
Myth.
Yeah. So this guy, you've got the other one.
Well, it's just. I mean, I don't know what to do about that.
There we go. There we go. I know that we just see less of the video. We'd have to trim if they give us crap for it. But clearly, this picture that they shown as the guy is not the guy. This fat dude is not the same dude.
Yeah, that's not him. No, no. Whoever they're trying to link to this, but yeah.
All right. Well, guys,
it was efficient. It was efficient because they don't have to Jack Ruby this guy now.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, yeah. So I don't know if you guys want to look at it again, but there's a more zoomed in version of the counter snipers.
But before we go, before we do that, I think that this is a very important image dichotomy that needs to be paid attention to.
Yes. This is what moral cowardice looks like, and courage looks like.
So my question here is, what is causing you guys grief on this? Where do you get emotionally worked up? You're a lot younger than Stan and I.
So as the
what
youngest, I guess
pisses
I'll
you
take this
off
first.
about this?
Well, okay, let me take this directly, because and in fact I won't even subtweet this. Ron said something in the chat when we very first started that they haven't declared war on you. They're going after one man. Yes, why are they going after that one man? Because he's the one man who's ever even attempted to try and represent the views of more than half of this country. And they've explicitly expressed that they are not going to allow that to happen.
Hang on a minute. Ron said what?
Earlier, yeah, when we first started.
Ron said what?
He's got the link. He can come defend himself if he wants, but that's what he said. They haven't declared war on you. They're just going after one man. No, they're going after one man because he represents our ideology.
This is the guy who won't come to an event in Montana because he doesn't want to end up on a Fed list, and he thinks that they haven't declared war on us. Are you fucking kidding me?
Thank you.
This is this is Vienna hot dog. Vienna hot dog run. Ron.
This is
you're right.
This is a declaration of war on me and roughly everybody that I've ever loved or cared about. That's it is what it is, and I knew this was coming, and I actually, to be honest, this isn't the declaration of war. This is like the formal declaration, right? Like they've been at war with us, and they've been pretty much openly at war with us.
This is what you call this is what you call unambiguous indicators, right?
Yeah, the secret watcher is you don't want to get crazy, and what's happened here is they've gotten crazy.
They're desperate, guys. That's how desperate this situation is. Because in the background here, what's going on in the background is a blackmail war between the Obama side of the party and the Biden side of the party.
Yep.
And each one is escalating what shit they're going to dump on the other side if they don't come to some sort of an agreement with respect to Biden's candidacy.
Yeah,
I just hope
they're next.
Yes, absolutely. The Her documents, not the transcripts, but the videos themselves are going to get leaked, showing a stumbling, bumbling fool.
Yeah.
Well,
one of the things I think that's going to come out of this, Stan, is a lot of things over the next 48 to 72 hours. You're going to start seeing a lot of kind of things, people that were maybe kind of on the fence, basically decide to jump down on the Trump side of it. And so I think you're going to start seeing some leaks. I think you're going to start seeing some movement, because people want to try to get on the right side of this, not because they agree with Trump, but because, it's absolutely out of self-preservation. Nobody wants to be seen as somebody who was condoning this. And these are the political operators that, are not true believers, but are absolutely the snakes, right?
And I wasn't quite done yet, because you asked me what's pissing me off. Yes,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna get onto that. So that, first of all, is this is the unambiguous declaration of war. That pisses me off. Pisses me off. The last 12 years I've spent in my life calling this happening and losing friends and being called a crazy asshole over it. That's so there's this feeling of vindication, but also I'm fucking angry about it. And then I think probably the biggest one is something that you said earlier. And yeah, the next journalist who says a single fucking word about January 6th, I will advocate for driving to their house and force feeding them their newsprint.
Watcher, damn, you're like conveying my emotional thoughts. So my kind of gray hair thought on this is yeah, moderate and keep the message alive, because what I've done is just escalated my engagement. I'm like, okay, I've been polite for 7 years. I'm going to be really direct, which is, you're out of your frickin' mind. And I think this is the best exemplar of, I'm sorry, I've been polite. You're out of your mind. Somebody just took a shot at the guy who represents what I believe. But you've got to actually support the guy who is doing what you believe. Joe Biden doesn't do what I believe. Donald Trump does it. Not a perfect human being. He's a great guy. I don't think he's crazy. I know he's not fascist. I know he's not racist. So I'm at the point where I'm just willing to stand up and say, excuse me, I actually represent this guy. And it made it so much easier today, based on the act of a crazy left-wing Marxist socialist crazy person.
Yeah.
That I can stand up and say, I actually agree with the guy they took a shot at. And I agree because we all got to talk about this.
And they shot at him because we agree with him.
But they shot at him because they can't wrap their head around the fact that they're mentally ill. There are so many fragments of the left now that have been coalesced into this message that are just mentally ill. I don't care if you're Marxist, socialist, GLBT, you've had your genitals cut off. I don't care. It's just become too complicated to be able to argue against. I'm actually on the side of, can't we just approach this and have a conversation? And what I've learned in the last 7 years is it's really hard to do. And it's hard to do because they won't let us have a conversation, because they want to devalue our opinion. And I'm okay with that. And I'm going to show up and have the arguments. And it's because, I've been saying this for too many years on this show. I'm hopeful, and I actually believe the system will try to help do this. But when things like this happen, it allows me to escalate my thought and go, wow, this causes me fear, and it gives me a really good understanding of why the founding fathers of the Constitution designed it the way they did. We have unbelievably powerful individual rights in this country, and this is a perfect time to assert them. Show up, speak out, become part of your community, and become part of these groups. That's my simple baboon opinion.
By morning, the Democrats will have coalesced around a message that is anti-Second Amendment over this event.
Oh, 100%.
Well, it's the only thing
it doesn't work well if the targeted audience is directly pro Second Amendment and
it doesn't matter. Watcher, it doesn't matter. They're not talking to you or me.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that the narrative effect, even for their side, when the victim is directly saying, hey, go suck a dick, it doesn't exactly play as well as it generally does when they can get the sympathetic people on their side that they can trot out and say, we don't want it all.
That's all they have left at this particular point.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Stan on this one. This will not be rhetorically pretty, but they don't care. They're gonna dive into the gutter on a level I don't think you young folks have seen. It hasn't existed in American political rhetoric. This is going to get crazy in a rhetorical way. The reason I hopped on tonight is I got calls from guys who were 10 years my junior, and they said, basically, WTF. I just heard this from a friend of mine who's on the team working with him, and I had to say, I'm willing to opine to my friends in the machines about what I'm worried about, because this is my country. I love this country. It's the best country in the world. We're not perfect, but I'm willing to opine publicly. So what I said was, I walked them through what I thought was happening, and the response was, "Oh shit." And they're, what's beautiful about the guys I know, the girls I know, is they wanted to go talk to their children first. So they went and sat with their kids and explained to them what was happening. So this is most akin to the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? We haven't had anything of this gravity in a long time. And I think what's unique is the missile crisis was an external threat. This is an internal dysfunction. And I think we're just coming to grips with it. So I hope that the media steps up and defines it well. I hope that the bureaucrats in Washington, I don't trust most of them right now, but I hope they step up and try to help define what everybody as a citizen is looking at. This is just unacceptable in a free democracy. It's unacceptable in our republic. And I hope this wouldn't happen, but it has. The sad thing for the left is it's going to benefit the right, and they're going to go to war on this. Kind of my opinion. So that's my last word. Sorry to be.
No, I think that's.
I think there's a simpler explanation for this, and that is the Democrats are desperate. And what this event has done is, and you guys know this because I've said it for 2 years, Q2 2025, that deadline has been pulled forward by 90 days. And the reason for that is that the burn-off on the normalcy bias was accelerated today. All those people who woke up today, Jim, and called you and said, WTF, they're now awake. Okay? They have to decide whether to go back in the matrix or not. And I'm hoping that most of them don't go back in the matrix. But for me, there's nothing news about this. There's nothing newsworthy about it in this context in terms of what I think is the timeline for the situation that we're in. I just think all we've done is we've accelerated it by about 90 days. And we're headed to that cliff, and I don't see what's going to change it. And this is just a manifestation of one more event where the palsy grip on power that the aged Democrats have is beginning to loosen, and they're desperate about it.
Well, Stan, if I take one piece of kind of consolation on this, if the machinations and the machine had their way, I think you're absolutely right. Q1 2025, or I guess fiscal year would be Q2 2025, right?
I'm talking calendar. I'm talking calendar year.
I know I live in the fiscal year world, so but so that I think you're right. That being said, if anything, this guy screwed up their plans right now. So now you have essentially people waking up that were not supposed to wake up. They were supposed to get another 90 days worth of propaganda, into the head, this what is it they call the Agenda 2025 or whatever, was a big part of this, right? So it's and this is, but Matt Gaetz actually is sharing this tweet. I think this is important.
Yeah. And I want to bracket this tweet. It is incredibly important that you go out and document everything that the left is doing for the next 72 hours. Not only do you need to document, you need to archive
screenshots. Yeah.
So, screenshots are okay, but screenshots are not provable. An archive of a web page is fully provable.
Yeah.
Here's the issue. This isn't going to matter. Archived, not archived, or whatever. Okay, we're headed to a point. And Jim, I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. The notion that there's some basis for reconciliation in this country between the two polarities of this
Correct.
is absolutely incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. There is no common ground. A lot of people are going to have to die for that common ground to be created. And that's just where we are. I'm sorry to say it, but that's where we are. Sorry, YouTube. Maybe my last appearance on YouTube. I can live with that. Okay.
Same. No. Look, here's the facts. We could step back as far as we want to step back from this, and they will keep coming, and they will get worse consistently. It's not our choice. The fight's been chosen for us.
The Venn diagrams no longer overlap sufficiently for there to be a reconciliation solution. So for you and for Mike Bennett and for other friends of mine who still think that there's an opportunity to stitch this back together in some aspect of it, you're not looking at X on a daily basis. The crazies out there are not going to come around on this. There's no way that the manifest legions of delusionally mentally ill people that are the constituency of the left are ever going to reconcile with those of us who believe in what we believe.
How do you really feel, Stan?
And so lines are going to be redrawn. I have no interest in spending time, effort, or money in solving the issues of people who have created the hellholes that most American cities east of the Mississippi have become.
Here.
None whatsoever.
Nor do I have any interest in spending an iota of my blood or my family's blood in the defense of those areas.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Don't realist. So, hey, Rick. Yeah, I don't tend to agree with Stan on this, but that's okay. I think he's probably right, but I remain hopeful. That's kind of my moniker.
Well, I'm hopeful. I'm in British Columbia scouting.
So. You are in the right place at the right time. I just hope they sort this shit out really quick and are honest about it. And it's the honest about it post-investigation stuff that I don't have confidence in. So watch it closely.
Jim, who's running the Justice Department?
I don't even want to think about it, Stan.
Who's running the FBI?
Who run Body Pound?
Who's running Homeland Security?
Yeah, and
one second. The whitewash on this is going to make the Warren report look like a Pulitzer Prize winning effort. Okay.
Yeah. What's really interesting, it was a public venue. I think there's going to be a lot more digital media than they can control, which I'm really hopeful about.
Like January 6th?
That's fine. Look.
Better than that.
No, they've proven over and over again. They don't care what other media exists. They have an official narrative. They can push it and they can run with it and they can pretend like no other narrative exists. They control all the levers of power. Who cares what the peons are screaming outside? They're not going to take up arms. We've learned this.
Yeah. I guess when it comes to like the position that Stan and Jim have articulated, I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle, right? And because I absolutely agree that there are the people out there like Stan has articulated that, this is exactly what they want. Like I said, I think that they realize there are a lot of people that are just useful idiots at this point, that they need to solidify their positions. Now, the thing that disrupts their game is that the useful idiots, there may be reconciliation with them, because let's just be honest, how many people out there who are lifelong Democrats have just literally lived with their head in the sand? If this is able to pull their head out of the sand and realize that their kind of democratic idea of let's just all get along is dead and gone for the last 15 years. I can make peace with that guy. I can't make peace with somebody who is essentially, already stabbed the Constitution in the back.
Well, I'll be honest. Janine Rogers leads me into something that I've been thinking about for days now, before any of this happened. Janine Rogers, who is a longtime contributor and I think a member, says there is no middle. And I will humbly and respectfully disagree with you there in a terrible way. No, there is a middle. The middle is proven they don't give a shit. The middle is proven they will literally sacrifice anything, including your children and my children, to be left alone, to be able to have their couple of
the middle
shots
is
of vodka
selfishness.
every night.
Selfishness.
No, it's incredible selfishness. I used to think that I loved humanity, and the more that I view it, the more I find out that no, in fact, I like a few select individuals. 90% of people are essentially rotting corpses walking around.
I don't think of them rotting corpses. I think of them as NPCs, right? They have just literally no give a fuck or no kind of critical thinking going on within their brain housing group.
Yeah. Well, that's because the institutions of education were captured 40 years ago, and they have.
No, you're right, and I have to back that off because you can't get mad at people who've been deliberately done like this, right? Because it's one of the things I hate the elites about the most is that they decry about how lazy and uneducated and uninspired the populace is when they themselves are the ones who literally poison their education system to make them so.
Well, not all are calling, but those who are calling may respond, and I think that's the way you have to think about this going forward. And that is, and you know, I'm sorry to do this. This is an old trope, but I can take you back to the American Revolution. It was somewhere between 7 and 15% of the population that made that happen, and so you don't need everybody. And those people who sit it out, okay, they sit it out.
Yeah.
But what comes next is going to be very different. Yeah. Rick Wilson on MSNBC had this quote Scott just shared. I think it's, here we go.
Just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
So, I mean, it's like they were literally calling for this. I mean, and not just this one guy. This has been a culture within the left-wing editorial space for years.
Well, you know, I think the pivot that we have to resist is they're going to say it's about the conservative movement. It isn't. And so I've been sitting on the wire, you know, singing the song of, I'm sorry, I don't see violence from the right. And I got a lot of pushback for 3-4 years here. And when people say, I want to understand it, I actually sit them down and have them chat with people. I haven't seen right-wing violence. And so I think we're at the point now where we don't have to argue anymore. We just say, you're not looking at the data. And they'll try to resist that, the media and the public. But you just have to say, hey, look, I'm just not seeing it, and you can't show it. It isn't emotional, it's factual. And demand factual data from people. Don't collapse. Don't try to be polite. Just be really strong about your opinion, which is the right wing of this country is not the threat to your life. We are not a threat to democracy. And they've been selling that too damn hard for too long, and it hasn't proven out. And tonight we'll just throw it over the edge.
Well,
pics of the shooter before this happened.
Yeah. So
physiognomy, baby.
Yeah. Jim, I think the best example of what you just said is January 6th, right? I mean, you know, the conservative movement took over the Capitol. What did they do? They walked around, stayed within the barriers, looked around, took selfies, did a couple knuckleheads, did some funny stuff, but ultimately it was funny. It wasn't violence. You know, with the exception of people like this, you know, mouth breather, who is, you know, was there to cause trouble. And oh, by the way, look at the camouflage, right? He's got a Demolition Ranch t-shirt on. I mean, absolutely, they are willing to blend in with the crowd in order to do maximum damage.
So I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just going to roll this CBS piece. Enjoy the next minute, gents.
And he closes with God Bless America. And we saw him raise his hand in the air defiantly, blood on his face as he left the stage.
He is recovering from these injuries now. This was a traumatic event, no doubt, for him. But I did notice there was no call for lowering the temperature, condemning all political violence, and really trying to
fuck you.
as well, not to retaliate or to have any kind of escalation here. I just am looking at these statements.
This is the type of person who needs to be force-fed that news copy.
Watcher, let's look at the clip that I just shared. This is a CNN clip, kind of the same type of moments after Copage.
Donald Trump and the people around him perceive themselves to be under threat, and that's all that matters. That is not legitimate. That is wrong. You hear the screams from the.
He's not under threat. It's not legitimate.
He got shot in the head. I'm sorry. He got shot in the head. Right?
Well,
Yeah.
look, I'm sorry. There were coordinated efforts before this to say, if violence happens in any Trump thing, the first response is say that it wasn't targeted at them. Say it's not real. Say it's not happening.
Yeah, but you know what, guys? This is where my hope lies. It lies in a different place than Jim's, but it is where my hope lies, and that is, my hope lies in the fact that there's still enough cognitive people in this country, somewhere in the order of 51% or so, that see through this bullshit. I think that the piece of the pie in the electorate that the left continues to try to mobilize and to motivate and to bribe. If you saw Biden's comments at the empty rally that he did in Michigan the day before, it was all about throwing federal dollars at different groups that all have grievances.
Here's
I think, let me finish, and then please, you can try to
Sorry,
take the point.
I apologize.
No, it's no problem. But the point is that I think they're scrambling now to keep together a coalition that is shrinking in the front of their very eyes. I think everybody whose normalcy bias is burned away is going in one direction, and that is the direction away from the Democratic Party. You don't have to take my word for it. Look at the polling numbers in the Hispanic community and the African American community. Now, they're not majorities, but they're 4 and 5 times what they were 4 years ago that are leaning towards Trump. And that's the Democratic coalition melting, one grievance group at a time. The people that are core to them are gays and lesbians, trans, and abortion rights nuts.
And woke white women in the suburbs.
Well, and woke white women comprise most of the 3 prior groups.
Right, exactly right. And I'm just saying that's the. Hey, Watcher, I have accumulated a vast number of.
I get you,
here.
but I'm going to go into.
I want to. Hold on a second. I want us to transition to like looking at how people are responding, and there are certain people that are responding exactly the way you expect, but there are other people who are comedically and kind of like to Stan's point about like the African American community are really kind of being like, this is not going to help them with African American numbers. When you're the Democratic Party, go ahead.
Okay, we can do that then. Give me a minute.
Yeah, so this is one of the UFC fighters tonight. No audio.
And Donald Trump, I'm up here in D.C. If you need help whooping some politician, holler at me, brother. I'll do it for free. There he is.
I think you're gonna start seeing a lot of people kind of. I mean, now he's been a pro-Trump guy for a while, but I think you're gonna see people starting to come out of the shadows that have probably maybe been supporting Trump, but they were a little afraid of the kickback.
Let me give you an example 1A, okay, and that's Elon Musk. If
fully endorsed, he says, yeah.
I mean, that transition has been rather remarkable to watch, particularly when if you remember that Elon Musk, SpaceX basically exists as a ward of the government. All right, and has since its founding. Okay, Tesla has benefited tremendously from the progressive side of the ledger. And that's as kind as I can be. The progressive side of the ledger's, sort of a subsidy of the electric vehicle marketplace. The tax credits in the first several years and so forth have all benefited Elon Musk dramatically. So he takes real political and economic risk when he starts to throw rocks at the glass house in which a substantial amount of his fortune lives in.
Yeah.
By virtue of government subsistence. SpaceLink is another. Okay.
Yeah, it's the old bite the hand that feeds you, right?
Exactly, exactly. And so for him to do that takes some stones.
Just watch. You got a thing. Let's share this one because this kind of gets to.
It's just more on what you asked me for.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the Matt Gaetz one, right?
Yeah, he says field director for Congressman Benny G. Thompson, who headed up the January 6th commission, recently proposed legislation to remove Trump's Secret Service detail, wishing Trump's assassin had better aim on social media.
Yeah, right. So this is Jacqueline Marshaw says, I don't condone violence, but please get you someone shooting lessons so you don't miss next time. Oops, that wasn't me talking. Yeah, I mean, this is we're beyond the mask fully off. Now
it's the 12-year-olds who are running digital media in Washington, right?
Well, these are the very people that you're thinking we're going to reconcile with.
No,
I'm sorry, that's not going to happen.
So in my,
you think I believe we're going to reconcile?
In living memory,
You eat cereal, or is that pasta? Tell me it's pasta.
In living
Go ahead.
In living memory, 2 presidents have been shot. Both of them Republican.
Yeah, Watcher, I kind of had that conversation earlier in the week about.
In my living memory, there was a Democrat that got shot in 1963. I was alive at that point.
Yeah, I was actually in the Saga Motel in Anaheim, California when that happened. So this is an interesting problem. The conservative movement, the right-wing movement, the Christian national movement, call it what you want. They've renamed it. They've renamed it like 12 dozen times. It isn't the threat to the republic that they've made it out to be. They keep trying to do that. And anyone who believes that crap needs to be set straight now. Don't be polite. Look at them and say, sorry, don't see it, right? Because the things that happen in the street, the damage done in the major cities, the sanctuary cities are very vulnerable right now. And they're not vulnerable to the conservative movement. They're vulnerable to the left. And it's going to happen. And again, I've spent a couple hours on this week. It isn't pretty. And somebody is pumping money into these movements. It's the same people who are Occupy, Acorn, et al., BLM, same socialist Marxist movements in our cities. They've been funded again to become difficult. And they're going to pop up with different T-shirts. But it's the same people, the same money. And let's not fall victim to this one more time. Don't feel bad about this. Understand that they are a threat to the republic. Back to Stan's observation. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that you understand how complicated this issue is and look at who's paying for the problem you're looking at. And it is not the conservative movement. It is not Christian people. It is not the nationalists, and that's not a pejorative. Somebody calls you a nationalist, you should stand up and say, I'm a patriot. It's okay to be a nationalist. It's why Orban has been so vilified for 5, 6 years. It's because hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent to vilify these people. Don't let it be vilification. Don't let them go overboard, but don't let it be vilification.
No.
My simple observation.
I have a question that's entirely off topic. So, Natalie, does that mean you're coming to Montana? In the chat.
Yeah, I hope she's coming. I mean, it's she was at Louisville with us last year, so definitely. She hung out with Joe earlier this year, I think. So we 100%. Look at that. There we go. That's what you call instant. If you needed more reason to come to Montana, Natalie will be there, and Natalie is fun. Just trust me on that one.
To dive us back into this wall of posts that we need to get through, here you go.
You remember what you called?
Yeah.
You are you.
Yeah. So, hey, push pause on that real quick. So just to set this up, this is a guy literally responding very violently in his rhetoric, his FU rhetoric to the members of the media who are sitting there. Now, that being said, it's not the camera guy who operates the camera at the Trump rally that is doing this, but his frustration is well placed, Stan. And this is absolutely an emotional response on what we've seen coming out of the media. We saw it on the monitor where they said, "Oh, we need to turn down the temperature," and we've seen the talking heads coming around saying, "Oh, well, they just need to learn to shoot better, or they need somebody to use a bullet to solve this problem." So like from every angle, the media has been at the center of this from the beginning. And then there's just one last thing. Watcher, don't stop sharing this because I want to come back to this one. But I've got one here that's another side of the media kind of story on this. Here we go. This is a lady in I'm at the center of Times Square. Not a single video monitor reporting Trump has been shot.
Friends, I'm in the middle of Times Square, and I just got the news that President Donald Trump has been shot, and I'm completely shocked. I've heard it appears he's okay, but look behind me. I'm in the center of Times Square. There's huge video monitors behind me, huge TVs behind me. Not a single report on the news about the president being shot. Now, on the other side of Times Square, we're looking over Times Square. This is the center of New York. You see all those video monitors outside? Right? See all this? None of them are reporting that the presidential candidate for the Republican Party has been shot. Not a word. Look at that. If anybody has any doubt about...
So this is not the media per se. This is the machine writ large in America that is absolutely the core of the support against Donald Trump.
Yeah, man.
I'm just saying, and because of that, this guy and all these people, and these are regular working class people, and this is what they don't understand. This is the tsunami that they're going to face here in the near future. Now, that being said, for every guy who's pissed off in this crowd, there's plenty of people out there bumbling through life. Like I said, the useful idiots with their heads buried in the sand. The Democrats wanted to have another 90 days of kind of propaganda to bring them into the right headspace, but that has been interrupted. And so, Stan, let me ask you this: in order to push up the schedule 90 days, that's a pretty violent change of pace, no?
Yeah, it is. Here's the thing that I'm interested in: this event. What impact does this have on the Democrats? With respect to that portion of the Democratic Party who wants to replace Joe Biden, is this drawing attention away from that, or does it accelerate that in the context of this? I don't care how you want to call it, this sort of Reichstag moment, okay, like the Soviets in Berlin in 1945, or some other iconic sort of photograph. This sort of powerful emotional moment of Donald Trump being shot, standing up again with his Secret Service detail with the flag that appears to be in his hand, all right, or at least the cable of it appears to be in his hand, does that accelerate the fact that the Democrats say, oh, shit, Joe can't stand up to this. Joe can't counter this. Joe can't be a counterpoint to this. And does that accelerate the move to get rid of Joe Biden and replace it with somebody who's ambulatory and reasonably cognitive?
I wonder if they assess that they could have any chance of winning with somebody different. If they assess that they have no chance of winning after this,
well, the real question there, though, Scott, the real question there, though, is who's the easiest one to put in that position to make the steal possible? Okay, because that's the last remaining issue in this election, and that is how powerful will the steal be this time around? And we're continuing to see more and more data about how proactive they were in the election with Biden. You know, they stopped the count at 3 a.m. You all know the stories. And how much further are they willing to go? And which candidate gives them the better fig leaf for that? Because at this point now, I don't think there's any chance that anybody believes that Biden's going to beat Trump in the election. And so the amount of mental real estate that they have to cover to make the steal even barely palatable at this point is remarkable with Joe Biden on the ticket. And Kamala Harris doesn't make that any easier.
Hey, Jim, I just saw your note that you need to take off. Final thoughts before we say goodnight?
Yeah, I'm really fucking tired. So, what it comes down to is we've been waiting for the thing that allows us to look at our neighbor and go, this is why I've nodded at you and not been mean to you, but have kind of ignored your left-wing bullshit. It's time to not be polite anymore. And I think I've said that before, but we need to be really direct with our neighbors, which is, what else do you need to understand that we're not your problem? The conservative movement in the United States is not the problem. The problem in the United States is the left-wing movement. And it's become completely toxic to the concept of a republic. So just hold the line, be truthful, seek out your neighbors, and be really honest. I mean, it's one of the good things about Stan is he is completely honest when he's on here. We have to keep doing that, and we got to do it more aggressively with our neighbors, because they're the most valuable people in your lives. And that doesn't denigrate you guys. You're kind of remote, especially you, Scott. You're off there in the land of garlic and honey. But let's keep this discussion going, because this is the only place on the planet that is as good as it is, right? So let's keep fighting for it. Sorry, Watcher.
Don't worry, everyone.
Don't cry, man.
No. Don't worry, everyone. It's all underhand. It's all in hand.
Oh God. Yeah.
The FBI has assumed the role of the lead. Oh, good Lord.
I feel better about this all of a sudden, Watcher. It's a miracle. It's like having really, really bad diarrhea. But I'll take some Cipro and I'll wake up in the morning. All right. You guys be good. Lots of love.
All right, brother. Take care, Jim. Stan, the thing that I'd like to kind of kick around for a second is, that kind of what does the end look like for the what's end state for the Democratic kind of plan at this point? I mean, I feel like it's got to be more inherently violent, that since they don't have time for the soft sell, right? They have to go straight to the hard sell.
What is the hard sell based on? That's, if you give me that piece from your understanding, then I can respond to it.
Well, so
I don't get it. I don't know what the hard sell is.
Well, so like I think the soft sell was essentially where we were at, like this whole kind of, Now, granted, I think the whole Biden debate stumble was also a kind of a bump in the road. But that was just a bump, right? Whereas this is like an actual break in the road that makes you take a divergent course.
Well, geez, these just weird. These just keep rolling in. So I'm just gonna. I'm gonna interrupt now to say that I will be displaying a bunch of them, but just know that a bunch of unexpected weird Trump endorsements are coming out all of a sudden. So
right. This is kind of what I'm getting to. A lot of people who have been sitting around on the sidelines, who have probably supported Trump for a long time, are now basically breaking cover. This is giving them the cover they need to come out in the open. I can't read. Can you read that, Watcher?
Breaking news: Jets cornerback Sauce Gardner has endorsed Trump for president.
Well, good for Sauce. I don't know who Sauce is. Don't care. But good for him. If that's a genuine sort of conclusion that he's come to, then welcome aboard. But the point is that I don't know how much of this is just in the moment sort of faux engagement farming or what. So.
Well, yeah, I think. See, that's just it. Famous people are calculating, right? And that's they may be.
I've never heard of him, so I don't know if he's famous or not. But I mean, that's
the NFL guy is, he's more famous than us. So I mean, I would assume. Well, but but I guess my point going back to the
Secret Service the Secret Service has now issued a statement.
Oh yeah, I've got this on my screen now too. During the former President Trump's campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, at the evening of July 13th, approximately 6:15 p.m., a suspected shooter fired multiple shots towards the stage from an elevated position outside the rally venue. The Secret Service personnel neutralized the shooter, who is now deceased. The Secret Service quickly responded with protective measures, and the former president is safe and being evaluated. One spectator was killed. 2 spectators were critically injured. The incident is currently under investigation, and the Secret Service has formally notified the Bureau of Investigation. And then, of course, we already saw the Bureau's things like, yes, we will take charge. They put their hands on their hips and then they do nothing.
What I'm really interested in is who's the poor person who did die. And what are we going to do about that?
We know that from talk in the crowd, we know that they were both vets. We know that at least one of them was a Marine Corps vet, but we don't know if that was the one who was hit in the head or the one who was critically injured. I'm sure that will come out shortly.
Yeah. So I guess getting back to this idea of the hard sell, I mean, that's where you have to actually take direct action.
Breaking.
Just real quick. This person who got shot, this is Ashley Babbitt territory.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Speaker Johnson says House will conduct a full investigation and assassination tip on Trump. We will have Secret Service director and others appear. American people deserve the truth. Well,
great.
Oh boy, thanks, Johnson.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for doing your job. Oh, wait a second. You should have been doing your job from the beginning.
We've got a statement from Crowder, but it's quite long.
I'm just kind of going through.
We've got a statement. We've got a part of a statement from Biden, real quick.
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, go ahead. You first, Stan.
I'm less concerned about what the purportedly famous people have to say about this, because they're going to break into one or two camps, and that's not going to change. What I'm really interested in, and we won't know this for a while, I'm interested in going back to this comment about the burn off of normalcy bias. I'm really interested to see what is the manifestation of people who have been either with their head in the sand or not paying attention or whatever. I want to see how many of those people move one way or the other.
Yeah, the people who either have been on the fence, like, well, I kind of like some of the things that Trump's done, but I hate Trump. He's crazy. You don't know how often I hear that in my line of business, right? People who I like a lot of the things that he did, but he's a total asshole, or he's crazy, or whatever, right? So they always caveat the kind of endorsement of his policies.
Right.
This this is the kind of thing that I'm looking forward to seeing more of. I think this will be an interesting moment in American history. Oh gosh, this is funny.
Now I'm just gonna tell you motherfucking niggas straight out the dump. Don't fuck with my motherfucking president. Do you understand me? Nigga, we ride with Donald Trump over here, nigga. Draco, we ain't playing with you motherfucking niggas. You understand me? Keep my motherfucking president name out your mouth. Fuck, nigga.
So, I mean, just because we didn't have enough, urban representation on the show, I thought we could get the presidential endorsement from gangsters all over the country.
I do think that white pill here as much as there can be. If the man survives, I don't see how they stop him at this point. I don't see how he survives, but we're just going to assume that he does. Also, you can very much feel that this is a mimetic vibe shift. The left is going to be on the back foot pretty severely.
Yeah.
Inshallah, man.
Well, I guess I'm a kind of a glass half full kind of guy, generally speaking. But I can't wonder though that there are people out there who I guess my going back to the hard sell again. I really think that's people saying, oh, well, we're actually going to have to get out there and do the work for, that we thought the people would be able to do for us, but now we're going to have to do it ourselves, right? The actual, shot callers are potentially going to get involved in something is the thing that I worry about, because they're probably way more competent than random Antifa guy number 7.
Well, yeah. Let's see how this breaks. Yeah, there's and this, despite the media's attempt to sort of, yeah, there you go. Despite the media's attempt to sort of downplay this and discredit this, the fact that we're going into the week of the Republican National Convention is just going to amplify this to a great degree. It'll be interesting to see how that convention comes around and comes about.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to me to see, because you're likely going to see Trump's VP appointment this week as well. And buddy, that takes on a whole different range of importance.
Any thoughts on who that might be?
You know what? I would love to give you a calculated answer, but I can't right now. Because Trump's this wild card on personnel decisions, that he always has the opportunity to make a silly choice, and he's done it many, many times in the past, but with the notion that he's trying to reach to the middle, and I think he should go the other way. I think he should go.
I agree. I
think he should go as hard as possible.
Of the names that I've seen seriously floated, JD Vance is the only one that I have any interest in, and I don't know that he's the right.
Yeah, I don't see anybody that's on the list of people that's been floated. Okay, from God, not Doug Burgum in any way, shape, or form. No, I don't think JD Vance does it much for him. Trump's won Ohio every time he's contested in Ohio.
He's Tennessee, but yeah.
JD Vance is the senator from Ohio.
I thought he was Tennessee.
I don't want to get anybody's hopes.
No, you're right. I got him confused with somebody else.
Yeah. And Rubio is no solution for folks in the chat talking about that. Rubio is
okay.
They're both from Florida. That doesn't work. That doesn't do anything.
Okay, 2 breaking things. One, not to get anybody's hopes too high up, but we might have a Joe sighting. He was responding to some posts. I told him we were live, and so hopefully we see him. Also, breaking news. Congressman Ronnie Jackson's nephew was at the Trump rally, and one of the bullets grazed his neck.
Who?
Texas Congressman Ronnie Jackson.
Ronnie Jackson is a former
his nephew,
Surgeon General, I think.
Yeah, former White House physician.
Right.
retired rear admiral.
Right. So well, that's just happenstance. I mean, that could have been.
No. I agree. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's data, right? It's another data point.
Ronnie Jackson, though, is saying that if the director of the Secret Service is making decisions based on politics and President Trump was almost killed as a result, she's done. Although,
yeah,
inshallah, your mouth to God's ears. Who maybe when we switch over, but who's going to do it right now?
Representative Steve Woodrow, Colorado State Representative Steve Woodrow, just deleted his account following a demented tweet about the attempted assassination.
Oh, do we have the tweet?
I've got the libs. Oh yeah, we do. Hold on a second. I'm sharing. It's in the private chat right now. This is coming from Libs of TikTok, and I think they've got the screenshot of the. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, here we go. So here was the tweet. Oh yeah, I saw this one earlier. Actually, there was a couple of them all in a row.
And now he's deleted his.
Yeah, and I'm surprised because I think the second one was worse. Because I'm pretty sure that I might be wrong. I remember seeing the second tweet, which was essentially commenting on, "Gee, if only the guy had better aim."
All right, so pull up, scroll up for a minute there on the tweet, on the chat. There was a member tweet just a minute ago. John Gordon. Okay.
Member for 3 months. Let me read it real quick and then you can comment. I feel absolutely terrible for Barron Trump. Imagine seeing your father almost assassinated in front of you. Go ahead, Stan.
You need to understand Barron Trump is Muad'Dib.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is making him a stronger man.
Wait. Does that mean the Mormons are desert power?
Well, I don't know.
Well, they haven't been coming across very, Fremen-like it recently. They've been kind of.
They're suppressed by the Harkonnen swine. All right.
But seriously, you have to think about this. Okay. Barron Trump is either Muad'Dib or he's Caesar Augustus, one of the two. And look out, buddy.
He's the Lisan al-Gaib.
So I just shared a Babylon Bee thing, and then I'm sharing another one underneath it. That I think these are two kind of good, kind of shot chaser type situations. We joke about this kind of stuff and the things. Basically, he says here that Trump has now been indicted for his assassination attempt.
It's not funny.
I mean, but what is really funny and sad and heartwarming are the
predictable
responses.
No. The most accurate thing is predictable.
Yeah, the responses coming out of the Democratic camp. It's
if you can hear us, if you are with us, please, John Wilkes Booth, if you're listening, please.
Catch your hair on fire. Catch your hair on fire. Catch your hair on fire.
Dumbass! You have a fully reloaded shotgun, but you chose to use a 1-bullet.
We're not even sending our best to fucking assassinate. Because what the hell was that? Lee Harvey Oswald would never, bitch. John Wilkes Booth would never.
Today was like this close to being the best day.
I just want to say that I literally know what they're going to say before they say it, just based on how they look. It's physiognomy.
Yeah,
it is. Look,
person that
this goes back to Jim's comment. We don't need any more of this. This goes back to Jim's comment. There's no reconciliation with these people. These people are not somebody that you're ever going to share a beer with, or you're ever going to see eye to eye with. And the only thing you have to do in a political contest is defeat them. Period. End of story. And I don't even want to try to assimilate them into the body politic that I wish to be a part of. They can have their wastelands of blue cities. I don't on either coast. Go back to PD's comment earlier in the chat.
Well,
I just
pick one.
Wallow in your shit. I don't care. Just don't infringe on my rights.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely true.
In my opinion, don't pick one coast. We're not we're not doing that. We're not cutting ourselves off from shipping.
Well, no, they don't get any of our country, right? I like we've joked about the altered map. No, they don't get any of it. We keep the whole thing, right? It's just it becomes a much different, it becomes a much different thing. And going back to turning down the temperature on the rhetoric, and then coming from Dark Brandon supporters himself. I mean, I don't get that.
From J.D. Vance, today is not some isolated incident. The central premise of the Biden campaign is that President Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. The rhetoric led directly to Trump's assassination attempt.
Yep. I think you could even make a case for, isn't there like a federal law? I don't know if I'm excited about it, but isn't there a federal, now that there's been an assassination attempt, every big voice out there who's talked about the fact that he should be murdered or something along those lines, shouldn't they now go back and say, oh, because of what you did, we can now draw a connective link. You're going to go and spend a year in jail or something like that. Now, I'm not a fan of that kind of speech enforcement, but it definitely gives you some ammunition to go after these people.
Intuition.
All right, gentlemen, guys, we've gone 2 hours here. Any kind of, I feel like as we go into the night, we're going to go into a desert of information. And then when people wake up tomorrow,
there'll be more to speak of.
I'll be honest, I am very interested and I'm surprised it hasn't come out yet. I want to see the weapon. I want to see the make and model.
Yeah, I was interesting to see that the one idiot said, "Oh, you had a shotgun. Why didn't you use the shotgun?" Well, clearly, this is why you don't let leftists make any kind of decisions about guns. Maybe a good point. So, guys, I think maybe this is a good spot for us to drop off and say goodnight to the folks. And we will definitely. So we've got our normal show tomorrow. Monday morning. So this is Saturday night for you guys. I keep forgetting it's Sunday morning here. So Monday night for me, Monday morning for you guys. We have our regular show. We will go in depth on everything that's come out of this. We'll be laughing probably a little bit about it, but we'll also be kind of giving a little more in depth. And one of the things I really want to do is I really want to kind of dig into the international response. There was a tweet towards the end that I sent you, Watcher, that had that. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, there it is. It's the Tank Appreciator tweet. Here, I'll share it. It's just easy for me to do that. So I think as we see some international kind of perspective on this, it'll be interesting. And of course, this is Abe. The guy's tweet says, "Hey, Mr. President, why did you suddenly turn your head? Well, for a moment, I thought I heard a voice of an old friend." And so, of course, it's a kind of a tribute to Abe being assassinated.
That's because people were pointing out the fact that Trump made a very sudden head movement right before it happened. And that had he not done so, the bullet probably would have gone through the back of his head.
Yeah, he is a lucky man in a lot of ways. Stan, I'll give you final thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know that I have final thoughts, and I'm not going to recap what I've said already. I think this is a watershed moment in many, many ways. Yeah. I think that it accelerates the path that we're on significantly. I can't be specific exactly on that, but I don't think there's a way back on this. And when I hear Jim talk about what Jim talks about, and I love the guy like a brother, but my point is on this, we just don't see eye to eye on this. And when I hear Mike Bennett talk about what Mike Bennett's been talking about with me today. They're all looking in the rearview mirror, and they're all looking for a way back to something that existed. The last time it really existed was in the 80s. It hasn't existed since then. And there's no going back, folks. There's only going forward. There's only taking what you have today and making something out of it for tomorrow that's going to be better than what we have today. And unfortunately, that's going to eliminate a lot of people who are in this country at this particular point, because you're not going to reconcile with them, and they don't willingly want to be part of what you want to be part of. They don't share your values. They don't share your core beliefs. They don't share anything. As a matter of fact, they prefer that you were dead.
Well, we saw a stark reminder of that just recently, of all the famous people who have said they want to leave the country, right? Bruce Springsteen was doing Born in the USA back in the 80s, right? The 80s where we all just got along and Tip O'Neill wasn't a bad guy, right?
Right.
But now, and just recently he said if Trump's reelected, he would leave America forever, right? I mean, I find your terms acceptable, and it's looking like. What are you showing, Watcher?
Well, this is a new clip, and I have a feeling it's going to be iconic, and I hadn't seen it before. But we're trying to wrap up, so I don't know. Do you want to cover it, or what do you?
Well, this could be your kind of your final thing.
So, wow, what a grim thing to go out on. This is Rick Elmore, who was a speaker at the event.
What happened? Are you okay?
I'm good.
Yeah. Did you get hit?
No. So the other guys. Appreciate it.
Were there a lot of other guys?
Just one.
Just one?
Beaver County's ESU team.
Can you tell me what happened?
All we know was shots were fired, and then I jumped over the barrier and put my hand on the guy's head that was accused.
Who was it? Do you know?
I don't know.
This is not Trump, though. This is another person.
Yeah. So Trump's not here.
And it was, you said he got hit on his head?
Yeah.
Were you in the vicinity of where Trump was?
I was on the side. I was one of the special guests.
Are you?
So he was standing. So whoever got hit was one of the people that was very, 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 very close to the stage, because one of the other speakers was the first person to render aid.
Yeah. This is like I said, this is going to be a different country 48 hours from now than it was this evening. So,
I have a feeling that a lot of the power is going to. I think my closing statement is, if I'm going to make a prediction, call me wrong, call me optimistic. I think this takes almost all of the power out of the leftist voodoo that they've been pulling for years. I think most of the dumb bullshit that they've constantly spewed is people are going to rightfully call it out and essentially say, no, fuck you. That's what I see coming in the next 48 hours personally.
I want you to think about this, though, Watcher, and I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer on this, and that is what you're talking about is a marginal increase out of, in terms of recognition, out of half the population. There's half of the population that has been rooting for this and won't see this as a bad thing. You saw snippets of it today in some of the stuff that you played, okay? And so I want you to be realistic about how much the needle moves and how much of the mindset there is to be gained.
No,
I'm
with you. What I'm counting on is that I'm counting on this having an effect on fence sitters.
Yeah.
I think what you're going to see, you've got loonies right now coming out about how they wished he had been shot or killed. What I think you're going to see in the next 48 hours is not a lot, but there will be some more kind of sober leftists come out and say, basically say, well, yeah, this is exactly what you get. This is all Trump's fault, right? They'll blame Trump, right? They won't take any responsibility for it, but they'll say, well, this is the natural, it's kind of like what we're saying, natural effects of when you have a media out there. What they'll do is they'll skip that step and go back to the things that they used to always blame Trump for, and essentially they'll use this as a so this is thus unto tyrants, right? This is I think some of the rhetoric we'll start to see. It won't be a lot, but it will be a small vocal percentage, I think, of the Democratic Party.
Let me ask this question, because Walter's been monitoring things. Have you yet to see a statement from Mitch McConnell?
none of the VC GOP guys.
Have you seen it? Wait, have you seen a statement from Paul Ryan?
Not a single one of the.
Have you seen a statement from Susan Collins? Has Lindsey Graham popped his head above the parapet?
No. Like I said, the Johnson is as close as you get.
Have you? I'm going to keep going. Have you seen Mitt Romney say anything about this? Have you seen anybody in the VC GOP make any comment about this?
No.
This is the guy that a week from now will be the official nominee of the party. That tells you where we are. That tells you where the gains can be made in the context of the election.
Yeah.
Joe,
we might be on for a bit longer.
No, we're not.
Well, you might be leaving.
Yeah.
If Joe is here, I get the feeling Joe is not connecting.
Well, okay, so here's what it looks like. Joe, as you remember, has probably been out of the house, and every time Joe comes, it takes his computer a little while to start responding
to warm up. So while we wait for Joe to pop in, let me.
Am I not in right now?
Oh yeah. There we go. Now we can hear him.
But Stan was in the middle of something, so carry on.
No, my only point is that what we're fighting for in the sort of court of public opinion is a piece of the middle. It's not a piece of the whole. There's a portion of this country that is irredeemable, in my opinion, that's never going to see the light because they've been brainwashed as part of the 40 years of the education system being tortured. And so you got to take your gains where you can get your gains, and you hope that it's going to be enough. Okay. Now, I can make the comment that said that in the United States that existed prior to 1994, which was the year Clinton got elected, that this would have resulted in an election that looked like Reagan's second term.
Yeah.
Okay, with only Minnesota going for Mondale. There's no ability to say that today, because whoever is the Democratic nominee is going to win New York and California and Oregon and Washington State, and the blue blobs that we all know on the map. That's not going to change. So it's all about the swing states. It's all about the steel. It's all about all the rest of that sort of stuff that we know that we're going to have going on here. So that's the pieces that you need to watch. The Jedi moves that Joe is making here.
I can't figure out what's the better lighting.
Anyhow, that's where we are, guys. I mean, it's really going to be 92. I'm sorry. The answer is going to be can we get enough of the gain necessary to be able to make this an electoral college win, in spite of the steal and in spite of whatever else shenanigans come down the path between now and November.
Yeah, it's definitely it changes the entire game going forward. Joe, welcome. I know you were out and about, and I'm sure you're a normal person, so you have actual things to do. So you weren't available to come on when we went live earlier, but I know we've been dying to get some of your opinions on this, as this is kind of your bag.
This might come as a surprise, but my phone's been a little busy this evening. So.
I know, right? The idea that there may be a lot of people out there are thinking maybe I need more security with these, Antifa, the thing that doesn't exist, actually tries to kill presidents. Shocking.
Well, we don't know that that's the case. Wink, wink.
Have you seen the before photos?
I've probably seen a lot more of the before photos than you.
Probably,
in all honesty. I just posted one saying that, that I'm going to watch the movie Shooter later because we've got some really good surveillance photo of this guy from his day. So I find it kind of interesting. So you might want to watch the movie Shooter if you haven't. Still got the shovel.
Still got the shovel.
Still got the shovel.
But I was saying that
I noticed that literally everyone on Twitter became an expert in close protection and protective security details.
Yeah.
But let me say this. For those who criticized the Secret Service actions immediately when the shots were fired, I've got lots of problems with the actions of the counter-assault team before that happened. But the close-in guys, it's very different when bullets are flying around and you're like, this thing I've been training for my whole life is literally happening in front of me. So give them a little bit of grace. They did pretty darn good with what they had to work with.
I thought the close detail did a pretty good job. That's not my issue. My issue is the area security prior.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the counter-assault team. The counter-assault team is a SWAT team that travels with the president or any detail that the Secret Service does, or the Department of State, or Department of State contractors. Wink, wink. I might know a thing about that. And the counter-assault team consists of a tactical team that would move in on something and multiple snipers whose job is to dominate the territory where these happen. This was designated as a national security event, so certain use of force protocols were in place that would have enabled them to fire long before the suspect did, and those weren't followed. And we have to ask ourselves why. And they seem to certainly have him in their sights for a very long time.
Yes.
Knowing that he was lining up a shot himself. And that does absolutely need to be explained. That is inexcusable. It's excusable under one circumstance, and we don't want to think about that.
Well, it's not so much an excuse as it is an explanation.
Right. And the word that I'm getting, though, is that the actual shot that struck the suspect was not fired by the Secret Service. It was actually fired by the Pennsylvania State Police. So that would add an interesting wrinkle as well. So I don't know yet, though. 48-hour rule applies, but that is the info I'm getting from guys who are actually there. There were also some other behind-the-scenes things that I can't really talk about, but I would say that the evacuation had some issues, and there may have been things staged along the evacuation route to make this a bigger thing, and they just didn't work from the bad guy.
Interesting. So you're saying you're intimating that there is definitely a bigger. So it's bigger than a single guy with a gun on a roof.
Well, and you're also intimating that we should end the show so we can talk to you behind the
we could do that a little bit later, but I would say this. I would say this, that somebody else's hand intervened and they were able to get to the ambulances safely.
Yeah.
It's really a tragedy that someone lost their life and a couple others have been wounded. And why? I'm gonna tell you where the finger should be pointed. It shouldn't be pointed at Antifa. It shouldn't be pointed at Joe Biden. It needs to be pointed squarely at the heart of the media.
Democratic
media
and the media. Yep.
And
100%.
their insistence that someone take action.
I'm happy you brought that up because this was literally on my screen waiting to go. Clay Travis says, I'm fucking furious beyond words. Fuck every left-wing media member who has been calling him Hitler for the past 8 years. This is on you. You made this happen. To which Joe Walsh says, well, I'll just let you read that for yourselves.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dirty myself.
All of left-wing Twitter is like this tonight. They're mad that the shooter missed. The John Brown Gun Club put out a tweet about that. Just understand where you are. Pay attention. I think Stan was absolutely right earlier when he tweeted that there's really no other way to go now. This is an accelerationist event, and that's really where we are. I would pack my bags and be ready. I mean, things are not good.
Yeah, so that kind of gets back to the whole hard sell piece, right? You know, the thing Stan said on this broadcast earlier was that he was talking Q1 2025. What this basically does is it accelerates at 90 days potentially to Q4 this year because they don't have the opportunity now to do the soft sell. And there's two incidents that have caused that, right? The first one was the debate performance of Biden. They thought that he'd be able to mumble his way through that and everything would have been fine and they could just do spend control like they've been doing. But he shit the bed so bad during that event that it really called him into question. And then the second is now the unsuccessful assassination trip of Donald Trump, which basically turns Trump into like a conservative saint, basically. Hand of God is on him. You've already seen it on Twitter, and this is kind of going to the other way, not the radical left, but the more fervent Trumpites are absolutely saying this is the hand of God, blah blah blah. And this goes into.
I'll say that.
Hold on a second,
I'll say that myself.
Hold a second. And this plays into the kind of the God Emperor Trump meme that we always put tongue in cheek. But at the same time, there are those wackadoos who always get the wrong ideas about things. So this absolutely strengthens Trump's hand to a point where you need action to stop it, Watcher.
Yeah.
No, I'll absolutely say that myself right now. This was absolutely the hand of God. There's no
I agree, but I'm saying, but the point is that they're basically saying, so if you do anything against him, then you're acting against God, and then we could,
So, I don't know about that, but
exactly, that's the radical part.
I'm going to say something that only Stan and I will understand. And Stan, I have everything already packed to do that radio thing we talked about at the site. So that'll be up and running. It may be needed, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
And I have in my hand Bob Marshall Wilderness Complex map.
I'd also like to speak with you after, if you have time. I know you're trying to take off, so I don't know how much longer we're going.
So yeah, I Stan, by the way, if you've got to go, I don't want to hold on to you. We're going to go a little longer now, so we can let Joe say his piece.
Yeah, I'm gonna book in just a few minutes, but I guess I'm starting to sound like a broken record, and I apologize for that. I just want you people to understand, though, that this notion of reconciliation with the left,
it's dead.
It's a false notion. Okay, I'm an Orthodox Christian. I believe in the teachings of the Orthodox Church, but I'm increasingly oriented on the Old Testament in my response to what we face as a people. I'm less interested in trying to convince people. I'm really more interested in trying to identify people who think the way that I think, and associate myself and build bonds with people who think the way I think, in the face of the people who think the way they think. And I don't have the energy, and maybe it's because I'm of an age, I don't have the energy to try to turn their thinking around. I just want the energy. I want the energy to neutralize their threat to my family.
I think there are certain thought processes that cannot be turned around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
agree.
This is a good time to mention that we have a community security class coming up July 28th to 29th in Big Fork, Montana. Might be some skills you might need. I'm just throwing that out there.
If you don't think, by the way, this is actually a great opportunity. Since we do have Stan here, this is a great opportunity to talk about the Montana event because I hate to say it, but this absolutely underlines the importance of these types of events. And when things start to get rough in the world, you don't want to hope that you can link up with the person you've been DMing for a while on Twitter, right? What you want to do is you want to be able to know people by face, know people by name, not some kind of crazy handle on the internet. And the best way to do that is to get out and actually meet people. And a great event for that will be the Montana Shield Field Days that we've got coming up August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And then right before that, Joe, you've got your security. Say it again. It's community security class.
Community security operations class.
Yeah. And these are two great opportunities to get smart on what you need to do in order to be successful in tough times, to become prepared for it, and also to trade stories about, what we've been going through in the month leading up to this, because let's not get it twisted. The next 3 weeks, which is, is it 3 weeks, 2 weeks? The next 2 to 3 weeks leading up to these events are going to be fraught with peril. And
convention starts Monday, so
I know.
So let me try to provide an overlay for this. We are thrilled. We at Shield are thrilled to be sort of the lead sponsor for this event. And it has something to do with us, but it also has to do with, and I say this in all sincerity, we at Shield have made a real effort to build community, and to build community amongst our employees and amongst our employees' families and amongst people who touch the company in various ways. Joe is a key person in that realm as well. And to support each other in the context of our beliefs. And our beliefs are, that this is the greatest country that's ever existed. And that parts of it we may not be able to reclaim right away, but that those parts that we can, we're going to try to make sure that we perpetuate the basic tenets of the founding of this country. And events like what you're seeing unfold here really put that into peril. And as a country, we've been through this before. We've been through it with, President McKinley and others in the 1800s and in the 20th century, and now again in the 21st century. We've been through it, but in many ways, we're not the same country that we were in 1963 or 1968 when Robert Kennedy was shot.
Why?
Or when Gerald Ford was shot, or when Ronald Reagan was shot. Okay, we're not the same country because big chunks of it have been ceded to the mentally ill. Look at that! Look at him. He's waving out of the Suburban.
Why are seemingly half of his Secret Service detail, who are tasked with physically separating him from the crowd, 120-pound women?
Notice which ones can't operate either in that environment. This is not a sexist comment, but they're having a rougher time adjusting than the men are.
Yeah.
Well, watch this one try and unholster and then reholster her weapon. What?
Right there.
I think a lot of questions need to be asked around the Secret Service detail.
Well, but see, guys, the Secret Service is not immune to this. This is the same degradation of competence that we see across the federal spectrum, both in terms of the bureaucracies and I'm afraid we're going to see the manifestation of that amongst the armed forces as well, because we're bound and determined again to do a shooting war as the other sort of bulwark against the loss of the presidency to Donald Trump. Look for that to speed up.
Updated official poster.
Hold on. Let me make it bigger because Joe, I think Joe's on a phone, so I need to make it big enough that Joe can see it. Hold on.
I saw it. It's pretty awesome. I want to point out something that he said that Stan just pointed out. It's one thing though to do these things in training and try to get a good score because you don't want to fail a class. It's another thing when there's little pieces of metal flying around and something that you never thought could happen would actually happen. So I give them a little bit of grace in that, but maybe there's some training opportunities.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind. The Secret Service selection, albeit watered down maybe for the DEI era, is still pretty rigorous. I would imagine that as individuals, those close protection agents are probably all qualified, though we may prefer.
I've seen close protection agents act this way in an environment where they knew there was a pretty darn good chance they were going to get shot at.
I would prefer having a 200. I would rather have a linebacker personally, but
stop. No, don't talk about would rather. We're talking about a physical job that requires something to physically be done, and her job is to get between him and a giant fucking crowd in the middle of a scrum. You cannot be qualified at 120 pounds. Cannot.
When I first came out of the Marine Corps and I was getting hired by Stroh's, I had to prove that I was physically capable of lifting up the CEO of Stroh's, who is a quadriplegic. So
tell me one of them could have drug him to the van. Tell me.
Oh yeah. No, I'm with you. I trust me. As somebody coming from the world of the infantry, where women are now in the infantry, I know all of these arguments and all the kind of pros and cons.
By Monday, the left's going to be demanding that Trump's CIB be revoked because he was not actually in an infantry unit when he engaged in hostile contact.
That's a combat action badge. So anybody can get this. This is cab, not car. Yeah, but yes,
sorry, cab.
Yes. But here's my question: did Trump use a grenade or a bayonet? Because those are the two weapons on that. I don't think he used either.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah.
But yes, I think.
How do you put a podium on there though?
Podium, exactly right. You know, a lot has been made about you know, kind of what next, right? And so I want to get back to this tweet. This is a tweet from Andrew Tate, a guy who I'm not a huge fan of, but I think he makes a decent point here. Campaign security protocol is the least of your worries. They tried the lone gunman. They won't try that again, but they will try again. They have to now. He's even more powerful than before. Have a lemonade from a bartender on a golf course? ? Trump is 78. Heart attacks happen. Pray for Trump. And so he's indicating that, and I think this is where it kind of gets back to that idea that more competent people may enter the chat and use more kind of subtle methods of getting to Trump.
Apropos of nothing, there are very credible reports that internal CIA documentation that has been leaked to all different kinds of places state that the CIA do in fact have a heart attack gun.
Yes.
You know, I'm not going to go down that route. I'm just going to say that the risk has gone up all the way around the board for civil unrest. And I wouldn't be surprised if later tonight, or it's pretty late tonight, so maybe tomorrow, you don't see some pro-Trump rallies pop up spontaneously. And some counter protesters pop up. And I would definitely expect some action Monday through Wednesday when we have the RNC in Milwaukee. So it is going to be an interesting week.
Watcher, it's very, very apropos timing on this tweet here. I'm sharing right now in the private chat this Matt Basil tweet. You might want to play that. And this is some video about the
to
go ahead.
hiring. They're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now.
Now hold on, push pause.
Stop. Yeah, stop. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
It's an American flag with a Secret Service star on it.
Is that the Secret Service star? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Just
so
making sure.
Yeah.
It's called the pin of the day. It's a security feature.
So here's the thing, Joe. You know, are you familiar with her? This is the director of the Secret Service.
Yes, former director of security at PepsiCo. Yes.
PepsiCo, right? Yeah. So you know, Elon made the great thing. The kind of tweet earlier said that the guarding Cheetos shouldn't qualify you to be part of it or head of the Secret Service. Do you agree that maybe her path to the Secret Service is
no? Because I know her path. She's been in and out of federal service. And this is very common among corporate security departments. They start in the FBI or Secret Service, then they go to work for a corporation, then they come back to the federal government, then they go and work in a corporation. I've commented on how this literally guarantees you FBI and Secret Service control of every corporate security department in the world. But
yeah, good point.
Wow. No, sorry, Joe. I have recently become very aware of many people in positions of power and federal positions wearing subtly altered American flags that do not
use a
denote.
different pin each day of the week to signify who's allowed access into certain
Makes
areas.
sense. Makes good sense. All right.
Not Alan Rogers, member for 27 months. So I heard something happened.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I just saw a post from a friend of mine that was like, "Hey man, I've been out fishing all day. Anything exciting happen?"
Let me say this too. This is important to say because we get accused of being pro or con this. No matter which side it is, assassination is never the right route. It's
Correct.
always the wrong route. We don't want to see anyone assassinated. It's just the wrong way to go. It's not how you beat somebody at ideas. You don't just kill them. So.
Unsecured, yeah. So Joe, this kind of goes to that close security.
Look who's making the statement. Look who's making the statement too.
Unsecured rooftop, 150 yards away. Multiple witnesses saying they were screaming at Secret Service and cops 3 to 4 minutes as they watched the guy with the rifle crawl on the spot and lined up his shot. Take your Secret Service and shove it up your ass. Prayers for Trump and his family. Yep.
Hey, look, the wind was the victor today, right? This guy obviously didn't know. He was obviously a bit untrained, didn't know he had to adjust for the wind, and the wind solved that problem today.
I don't know if you also saw, but like literally a split second before he fired, Trump snapped his head into a different position, and I think that may have saved him.
Yeah, entirely possible.
Guys, I'm looking at super chats here. I need to catch up on a couple here. Some of the Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says witness said shooter was climbing the blind side of a roof out of sight of the sniper, most likely peaked.
That is still a failure, because when you do the advance, you identify every rooftop that can see where your protectee is speaking, and you secure every possible route to it. There should have been a man standing at the bottom of that ladder. Where was that man?
And probably a guy standing on the roof too.
Yeah. How about this for a security failure?
And you know that's a little bit. He's going
So that's what, 10 seconds, of people. That's a crowd of people, not just like one guy.
The minute an unidentified subject appeared on that roof, under Secret Service protocols, this is not me talking, this is under Secret Service rules, that guy should have been shot the minute he was on the roof. Rifle or no.
Breaking via CNN, the FBI has identified the shooter but has not yet released his name. He's a 20-year-old who grew up locally.
So he is the person that everyone says it is.
Yeah. Derna for $5 said, let's be real, the violent anger directed towards Trump was always because they see him as a personification of us. Expect more of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hence my tweet earlier today where I said, watch leftist Twitter tonight and understand where you are. Understand your risk level went up.
FBI and Secret Service are about to hold a press conference.
All right. Well, we can listen to that live when it goes. Lance Corporal Veteran for $2 says, no president, no surrender. I know a lot of people are going to be feeling that way.
Yeah, but I'd be careful making statements like that. They have a habit of becoming Defense Exhibit A.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And this is why we don't condone any of that stuff. That's funny. Let's see.
It's like having a no trespassing sign that says trespassers will be shot. Don't do that. That's silly.
Yeah. Lance Corporal Veteran for $2 says, any bets the shooter was somebody's wind-up toy?
100% guaranteed. That's why I made my comment about the movie Shooter earlier, right?
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And that's why they already know who it was.
Hold on. Let's just say it officially, just so we can. He was known to the FBI before.
Yes,
absolutely.
Philip Coggins for $5. Watcher, remember the reaction. The reaction is the action they want you to take.
So I have a slightly different opinion on this.
Everyone
says don't react. Listen, if you never react, don't react rashly. Yeah. But if you never react, they end up getting what they want either way.
This is
react
the time.
Smartly, not rashly. So
this is the time. And I'm not saying to do anything stupid, but this.
No, I agree with what Joe is watching. I'm tired of having to swallow my bile. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that any longer.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm not cowering in fear.
Thomas Massey, Thomas Massey, but with a good warm-up statement. We got 15 minutes before this presser for the joint presser is supposed to go. Thomas Massey with a good warm-up for us. The same bureau that investigated the Las Vegas shooting and the January 6 pipe bombs is now going to investigate the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. This is also the same bureau that raided Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of this one.
Oh, they are. They're at the bottom of this. This young man acted alone.
Yeah, they're going to retraining right now. Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says, current centrist conservative Theoden, I will not risk open war. Patriots, Aragon, open war is upon you whether you risk it or not.
There you go.
Bingo.
Yeah, Theoden eventually saw the light, though. That's the only thing that's hopeful in that.
Theoden did. And he did what was right.
Penis
and
says held
Grima eventually cut an arrow to the neck, but
for $2 says rename Fort Liberty after the Marine who died. Yeah.
You
Well, I
notice
don't
they
know
didn't
about.
rename any
You know
Marine
what?
bases? There's a reason for that.
yeah, no, hey, you know what? I don't know about renaming an army base to a Marine that passed, but
Yeah,
I'm sure we could find a Marine Corps base that's got an old army name that transferred over, and that we could certainly slap that on.
By the way, of note, trivia related to this. This occurred on July 13th. Julius Caesar was born on July 13th. Lance Corporal Veteran for $2 said, "This is how you create a Caesar Baron Trump."
Oh yeah, no, this is boy. Imagine if my brain is just utterly failing me. The first Roman reformer patrician who was killed, or not patrician, but was killed by the patricians. Who am I thinking of? The one everybody always compares him to. Imagine if he had survived.
All the marbles member for 11 months says missed most of the show. Glad you guys popped the show. If you're going to take a shot at the king, you better you better not miss. Yeah, remember the 5th of November election. Yeah. Let's see. We just did that one. So I heard. Yep. So I heard a thing happened, and then we got the log cabin school for $10. Thank you for that generous donation. Feel like they missed a bump stock opportunity.
Damn, Doc, that was hard.
You know, I'm smiling at this, but I'm in my head. I'm thinking the nightmare that would have been at that Trump rally if this.
I want you to
kid had a
know
bump
that it
stock.
was the log cabin school who texted me while I was out doing what I was doing. Was like, "You really need to get on the show." I was like, "Yeah. Let me finish this up." So.
Well, we know you were busy, Joe. So we knew we knew that when your Super Bowl happened, you'd be here for the final downs.
I hate to say that our show has been talking about this for a long time, but we have. This is where that rhetoric from the media led. It's just a natural outcome of it.
And I do have some pride that I've surrounded myself with a group of guys who we have to a man all called this.
Apparently the decision has been made to leave that flag flying over the site as they strike the rest of the site.
I mean, there's some symbolism there. Yeah. This event is going to loom very large in everybody's memories for a long time.
Oh, no. I said it earlier. It's not just going to loom large in people's memories for a long time. This is a dividing line. This is one of those historical.
Oh yeah. But
there's an America before the assassination attempt, and there's an America after the assassination attempt, and they are different places. They're countries unrelated to each other.
This is someone trying to force Blue Dawn to happen. So I want to know where both Blaine Pardo and Mark.
Oh, he was here. You missed him. You missed. Yeah. Blaine was here for the first 2 hours.
Yeah, I basically said somebody wrote the
Where
prelude.
was he when the event occurred?
Oh, well, hey, there's another story.
Where was he when the planning was happening? When the writing of the story was happening? That's what I want.
So I will say that people have been commenting that the shooter was in a Demolition Ranch shirt, and I'll say, yeah. I mean, you wear camouflage. They very publicly talk about the fact that they wear camouflage when they come to these types of events.
Yeah, I don't think that the shirt is much of an indicator. I think the shirt is camouflage. But I did point out he was wearing cargo shorts, and it's one more reason why not to wear cargo shorts. Look at what I did to his combat prowess. He didn't exactly win the engagement.
Yeah. Philip Coglins for $5 says, "I'm not saying don't react. We just need to think rationally about
exactly
our
right.
100%.
Real rational about what you do."
So this is the first kind of mainstream Republican, and he's not really mainstream anymore, but Newt Gingrich has got a statement out, and I think I listened to it.
Newt's been pretty good.
He's been pretty good lately. So I've listened.
Okay.
I've listened to half of it, and I think it's worth us giving a listen to. So I just shared it in the private chat. It's that ACT one.
I'm pulling it up, but I do want to say the one thing I will say about Newt is I have found him seeming to want to take a lot of credit for things that only ever happened after he got out of politics and stopped being a force to be able to influence them, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And it was a providential moment. If he had turned to look at that big screen, and when he was turned, the bullet would have hit him here. When he turned back, it hit him here. That's how close he came to being killed. And I think we need to understand that this was providential, and he reacted appropriately. But I also will tell you, he has been vilified by Joe Biden and the Democrats and the left wing more than any president since Abraham Lincoln. And this was a political act. It was a deliberate act. And as you know, because we've talked about it off air, I've said for 4 months that when all the legal baloney fails and when they begin to realize he is going to win, that violence is the next thing because they're that desperate. And it was a providential moment.
If you notice when that video was playing, you see the other citizens jump into action to try to save the life of the man who did die. There was, ironically, an emergency room doctor sitting right next to him.
Right next to him.
And he could do nothing for him. But listen, carry a first aid kit. Carry a first aid kit. Carry a first aid kit, please.
Yeah.
And they're showing close-up pictures now of the injured ear, and basically it took a little clip right out of the top, right upper portion of his ear. So it's
look, we all may think certain things about Tim, but he has an excellent statement here that I think should ring absolutely true. If Trump can take a bullet for you, you can take time to go vote for him.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Because he definitely took a bullet for you. And so here's the thing: Donald Trump's known this is coming. I mean, if he didn't, he may not have feared it because of his ego, but he knew it was coming. I mean, the writing was on the wall, and he knew it.
So let me point out that last line, and draw that conclusion with what I said earlier. I can't put it out there because of who it is. I don't want to burn the person.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll just say not so far from the rally, basically opposing side from the building where the shooter was, like an evacuation route, something that someone who was inside the team would have to know about, because you don't
Let me say that I would be interested to know if that van has a bike rack on it.
That would be a very interesting thing to know.
Yeah, Joe, just give me some analysis. Okay, don't give me facts that you may have insider knowledge of. Give me analysis of why would they want to do this, and what kind of organization would it take to set up, basically secondary attacks or blocking.
That's the only problem I have with the lone wolf scenario, is that the rifle attack was doomed to fail from the beginning. They obviously, by the way it happened, he climbed up and immediately started shooting and fired multiple shots. He knew that was not the attack that was going to succeed. My personal belief is just like we saw a lot in Afghanistan, was an attack designed to make the detail move the protected person out into the open while trying to get to the vehicles and get out of the area. And that caused them to go past a secondary device. You've probably seen it too, setting off one IED to draw people past another IED, right?
Also, literally the Franz Ferdinand, literally how Franz Ferdinand got stuck.
Exactly. Yeah. So if shots were fired to try and get the whole motorcade moving and have it pass a device that was going to be detonated, but for some reason didn't, that would indicate a higher level of sophistication than a lone gunman climbing onto the roof. And we'll see what the search of this van reveals.
We will never know what the search of this van is.
I was just going to say, this is going to be exactly like that van that blew up outside of the AT&T building.
Here's the interesting thing, right? They're saying this van had out-of-state plates, but the shooter was a local kid.
Right.
Those two things don't really go together. But.
Yeah, which of these things is not like the others? Well,
unless it's the rental van. Unless it's
so here's a statement from Dan Bongino, former member of the Secret Service.
Hang on 1 second. And to my point, we still don't have the Kennedy assassination data.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Make no bones about it. So,
I real quick. I think the only way we get this data is if Trump wins, and he basically goes hog on the entire.
If you think they're going to let him have it,
right? That's
he
what I'm
told them to
saying.
leave
That's
Syria. We're still in Syria, so
yeah. Well, that kind of goes to
guys,
the Flynn
let me
kind
point
of
this
thing.
out. Trump winning doesn't solve this.
No,
Trump winning does not solve this. We already had Trump winning, and it didn't solve any of it. So I'm just saying.
Could cushion some of the blow.
They exist, and they're more powerful than the president is. It's that simple.
It could cushion some of the blow, but that's about the best we'll get out of it. So, statement from Bongino, who, make no bones about it, I personally don't like and have made fun of on many occasions. Actively communicating with a number of former colleagues from the Secret Service about the assassination attempt. This is a obvious catastrophic failure, and no excuses should be made or even attempted. The failures are profound, and questions must be asked about ground surveillance, air surveillance, post-standard support, counter sniper, advanced work, response. We have one job, and we came within inches of deadly failure. No, not inches.
Post-stander is what I was talking about, right? There should have been a post-stander at the bottom of that roof access.
Yep.
And there was not. In all reality, that entire complex should have been shut down and patrolled, but it was not. So,
all right. Guys, I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna leave you to the press conference because all you're gonna hear is droning noises out of that. And,
pretty much.
And justifiably so. Justifiably so.
We want to get them on the record, though, Stan, at least.
Well, yeah. I mean, they've mastered the art of the weasel word, so you're not going to hear anything here that's going to be useful at this particular point. And I'm going to leave you to draw your own conclusions about this. I've given you mine. I think I know where this leads us. And if you're not preparing for that or some other eventuality, if you're thinking that this nation is going to pass through a normal transformation of power in this election year and into 2025, you're mistaken. You're absolutely mistaken.
I would be more surprised if an actual man in the red suit were to show up at my house on December 25th than if we were to do that.
Right. So anyhow,
you need some space in your garage, Stan. So we'll talk about it later.
All right. Well, I don't need your new dog. I make this dog my own. Yeah. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Joe.
So we have now reached the time when the press conference is supposed to happen, but I am not seeing links for it anywhere.
Random PNW guy 84 for $10 over on Rumble says, doesn't Trump have a private security detail? If so, what were they doing when U.S. Secret Service dropped the ball?
Knowing from personal experience, the bald guy in that one video has been Donald Trump's chief agent for as long as I know, and that predates Secret Service. So all that really happened was his detail guys were all deputized essentially as special U.S. Marshals. So, yeah, he does have half private and half Secret Service.
So but in that case, do they basically just vet them and then bring them into the team?
I'm sorry.
So how does that work? Do the private guys just basically get vetted and then brought into the?
Yeah, so you get vetted. You get to go through a Title III security clearance, all that stuff, and then you wind up getting a special deputy U.S. Marshal commission, and you're just made in part of the team. They're not in charge; they're just part of it. They're just included. But the responsibility remains the Secret Services here. So.
All right. Let's let me hit a couple more
breaking
super chats
news.
Here real quick. Yeah.
Breaking news. While I'm looking for this, Thomas Matthew Crooks has been ID'd as the gunman.
Thomas Matthew Crooks. All right. He is a dead gunman. UCO Steve for $2 says most of the Caesars were killed by and he didn't say. They were killed by other Romans, is what they were mostly killed by. Let's see.
There's no you can't find the press conference anymore.
Oh,
I haven't been able to find a link for the press conference. I've been looking for it for a while now. They said they're going to hold one, and it should have started 2 minutes ago, but I have yet to find a link for it anywhere.
News.
Peter says helicopter for tours for $2. Says Secret Service head was in charge of DC and lost Secret Service comms on January 6th. Interesting.
So here's a bit more about the shooter. Oh, wait.
What's it say?
I
got it. So you can see that the gauge hole he had sealed up is visible. So he had gauges.
This is
that's him right there.
Action. Yeah, that is him.
Yeah. Does it have anything about like any kind of like Antifa connections or?
I haven't seen that yet.
What I had gotten was that he's a communist activist, a RevCom kind of guy.
Okay, yeah. Well, gosh, it's almost like we've been talking about RevCom guys lately, Joe.
Yeah, RevCom hides inside of Antifa.
Well, in fairness, the original Antifa was entirely comprised of revolutionary communists and anarchists, left-wing anarchists, in Germany back in because they were fighting the brown shirts in the streets.
I can't get my phone to. My phone died in the middle of all of this, by the way, so I'm waiting for it to come back on and see if I got any more.
Surprise, surprise, surprise! You know,
we did break out, identify the IFF patches here, so.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Those will be available.
Make sure you get yours from somebody when you're in town.
Yes, absolutely. So if Trump is mostly responsible for January 6th, then Biden is mostly responsible for this. That's an interesting kind of
150.
You guys would have been proud of me when a certain someone put out a very spicy tweet tonight. I did not comment.
Respond.
I was going to. I just said, "Preach, brother." I was going to say something, but I was.
Do we not want to say the name and the?
No, we do not.
Put it in the private chat so I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Lance Corporal veteran for $2 says type press conference.
Hey, you know what? That's been public, and that I actually yelled at him while he was in here in the chat because of some of the dumb fucking shit he was trying to pass off. So I'm done playing pussyfoot with that.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't co-sign any of those statements. Yeah, it calls for the two officers on the roof need to be investigated. One was laying down and had a shot lined up. Well, the laying down part doesn't bother me because that's pretty standard for your snipers. But it didn't take it. Yeah, the shooter successfully fired 8 shots. The lack of action led to a dead Trump supporter and the former president getting shot, as well as 2 attendees. Yeah, I think they're going to have to look into that. I mean, I'm not an expert on this stuff.
Should have been a dude standing at the bottom of that ladder, keeping the guy from getting up the roof.
And it doesn't have to be Secret Service; it can be the state police. You know, they do a lot of like work with local law enforcement.
You grab a local cop and you go, "You stand here and you don't move." Listen, as a member of a private security detail that works with them, that's happened to us a lot of times. You guys cover this hallway. You guys cover this stairwell.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it is.
Yeah. Okay, so happening now. I still don't have a link for it, but happening. I've got this. A press conference here at the Butler Township Police Department. We're expecting to hear from the Secret Service, Pennsylvania State Police, and the FBI following the shooter. But again, although you're showing me all the cameras set up to stream it, you are not giving me a fucking link to be able to view it from.
Okay, so evidently. Oh, here we go. I'm sharing.
You found a link?
Now.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just go to YouTube, type in Secret Service Live, and it.
Yeah, I was doing that, and then I switched over to Twitter because I didn't find anything.
We can go back to the beginning and then.
Yeah, it just started. This is the actual live shot.
All right.
Yeah, you only get one shot of this, buddy. You don't screw it up.
Is everyone ready?
I like how the ATF guy is wearing a shirt and a badge.
All right.
Well, he's got the Zelensky thing going. He wears his the
my
polo
name is
shirt.
Kevin
his
Rojek.
tactical.
That's R-O-J-E-K. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI Pittsburgh field office. The first thing I want to say is that the FBI stands with the people of Butler County in Western Pennsylvania, and our hearts go out to the victims of this heinous act which occurred today.
But not Donald Trump.
This is our community, and I want to let the public know that the FBI has deployed a number of our resources, including investigative agents,
More or less than for the garage pull
technicians, and we have additional resources coming from other field offices, as well as from FBI headquarters, including our evidence response from Quantico, Virginia. We have intelligence analysts as well, working from our field office in Pittsburgh.
It's a serious
working
underbite.
feverishly to attempt to identify the individual who did
The
this
shooter.
and any
That is-
motives behind why this was done.
Any motive?
Right now, we need the public's help. Anyone who was on scene, who saw anything, who identified any information, please report that to the FBI using either the phone number 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at fbi.gov/Butler. This evening, we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump.
What we are calling.
It's still
That's
an
the
active
first
crime
time he's
scene.
mentioned it by name.
As I mentioned, we have a number of agents on scene. We also are working closely with other federal agencies, our state partners, and our local police partners as well. Again, at this time, we are not prepared to identify who the shooter is. We are close to that identification, and as soon as we are 100% confident in who that individual is, we will share it with the press. With that being said, also, we do not currently have an identified motive, although our investigators are working tirelessly to attempt to identify what that motive was.
Because we can't. I'm literally tweeting
this
about
time,
the
I'm gonna turn
motive
it
right
over to
now.
William to
Why
Colonel
on
Chris
earth would anyone
Parris
want to shoot
from the
Donald Trump?
Pennsylvania State Police.
Thank you very much. My name is Colonel Chris Parris, P-A-R-I-S, Commissioner of Pennsylvania State Police. I would just like to say that the state police have been in regular contact with the governor's office, and the full support and assets of the entire agency are behind the FBI and our other federal and municipal partners to assist with this investigation. The thoughts and prayers of the Pennsylvania State Police are likewise with the victims of this terrible act. We are prepared to support this investigation in any way, shape, or form, and we stand ready to participate in a full, fair, and competent and thorough investigation. To give you an operational rundown, Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Lieutenant Colonel George
You'll be
Bivens
locked out.
is behind me, and he will discuss the operational portion that's being conducted by the Pennsylvania State Police. Lieutenant Colonel Bivens.
Good evening. So let me describe for you a little bit about the scene that we have over there. As you know, there was a grandstand, a very large area, a lot of people there when this all unfolded. The former president had come out and begun to speak shortly after 6 o'clock this evening. This evening.
He didn't call him by name either.
And within about 10 to 15 minutes,
Here's my
a number of
tweet about the
sounds were
motive
heard,
of the
and it became
assassination
apparent that
attempt
shots were
in the
being
chat right
fired,
now.
in that direction. It was a chaotic scene. Law enforcement, I believe, acted heroically, quickly identifying and neutralizing the threat, as well as responding to assist the various victims. PSP had a significant presence on the scene along with all of our federal partners at the time of the shooting. We have since enhanced that presence significantly, bringing in resources from all over the Commonwealth to ensure that we have a speedy, thorough investigation. We are working very closely with the FBI as we work through this. As you can imagine, because of the variety of crimes that have been committed, some are under federal jurisdiction, some are under state jurisdiction. And so, we're working through all of that, not an issue at all. We work seamlessly, but the FBI has maintained the lead on the attempted assassination. PSP will take the lead on the homicide and the shootings of the other individuals in the grandstand area. And so there are a lot of witnesses to be interviewed, a lot of things to be processed. There were some complicators that hopefully the next time we speak, we can describe for you, but some complicators that slowed down some of the processing and the positive identification of the shooter. But
bullet through the eye will do that.
At this time, we have no reason to believe that there is any other existing threat out there. We are doing everything we can to make sure that this is thoroughly investigated, and that if there is any information developed that anyone else was involved, that between PSP and the FBI, that will very quickly be followed up on. So I think at this time we would open it up to questions from all of you.
Was this a lone wolf attack?
Again, I think it's too early to say that. We have one shooter.
Well, TMZ's got a picture of the shooter before he was killed.
We're not stopping there. We're following up on a lot of information. It will be some time until we can conclusively say or answer that question, I think.
That's interesting, because I have some information that is indeed the case. There are more individuals they're seeking right now.
Hey, watcher, look at the TMZ link that I just shared in the private chat.
Again, that'll all be part of the investigation, but that will all be part of the investigation. But I can tell you that preliminarily, it appears everything unfolded very quickly. So, again, we'll have more information on that, but it's just too early to start definitively saying this
Colonel
happened.
back there
at
is
this
mad
exact
they got
time.
pulled away from the old country buffet.
Yeah.
That's correct. We'll have that information for you. It was some distance outside of the security room.
Reports that there were people who saw someone on the roof and tried to alert authorities.
We're following up on those. I will tell you that I am aware of those, and I am aware that law enforcement had responded to a number of reports of suspicious activity. The specific response to this will be all part of the after action, but yes, law enforcement was responding to check on several suspicious occurrences.
What were the others?
Oh, man. That'll all be part of the investigation.
So you said that you're close to identifying the shooter. Could you at least confirm that he is from Butler County, Pennsylvania? Is there anything else? Did he have any affiliation with that company, do you know?
So again, we're not prepared at this time to provide the identity of the potential shooter. We're in the process of doing the confirmation, and once we have the confirmation, we'll release the name officially to the press.
By that statement,
But
you
at this
just
time,
confirmed who it
can't
was.
give any further information on the potential shooter.
They can't lie, but they can confirm.
Yeah.
No, it's a matter of doing biometric confirmations. So there was no identification on the
All
individual.
photos of that guy had a cleft palate.
So
the dead guy has a cleft palate.
Looking at
It's pretty,
photographs right now, and we're trying to.
Joe, did you see the picture I shared?
And get biometric
the
confirmation.
TMZ link.
I have not looked at it yet. I was listening to these guys.
I wish it wasn't blurred.
Find any extra guns? Just anything else you'd be willing to comment?
I also
Not
wish
at
the
this
person
time. No,
had
we're still
moved
in
the
the
camera
process of
away at
enacting
the
this
key
Richard
moment.
Simmons died today.
We'd like to reserve.
It's clearly an
releasing any
AR-15 you're
information like
shooting.
that until we have
Yeah, it
more
is.
facts. From the FBI's perspective, no. We did not have any specific threat information related to this event.
You talked about how it happened so quickly, and we know that there is at least 2 casualties, including the gunman at this point, that we're aware of. It could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Comment more about that and how it
So I think the credit goes to not only the Secret Service who was on site, but also the state and local partners who were there on site and were able to react immediately when the incident occurred.
Do you know how many officers fired their weapons?
I do not.
I understand that it's very early and there's still going to be a lot of questions, but I mean, is this a failure of security?
Really, at this point, we're not going to make that assessment. So we can't comment on that at this time.
You can say if Secret Service had checked those buildings or we're keeping a close eye or.
Really have to defer to Secret Service for those questions.
Oh, and we just don't happen to have anybody from Secret Service here to talk to you.
Are you saying the location where the shooter was located? Yes. I don't have any information on that. You'd have to defer to Secret Service.
When do you think you will release? When will the name of the shooter be released? I mean, any inkling of when that might happen, tomorrow or?
So that'll be as soon as we've confirmed 100%, we're willing to release that. So if we have, as far as the contact information for the press, we should be able to do that within the next few hours, I imagine.
There was a vehicle being checked out far from here. We've also heard a possible related scene in Bethel Park. Is there anything you can tell us tonight?
There's the van.
Other areas where law enforcement may be searching in relation to this?
Again, right now we're tracking down all leads and doing all interviews and tracking anything that we can regarding suspicious locations, vehicles, locations, interviewing individuals. So it's all related to this event, but I can't confirm or deny anything that's going on beyond that.
Can you tell us about the weapon that the shooter used?
As far as the details of the weapon?
Yeah, what kind of rifle was that?
Do you want to come on that?
What is he used?
Until it's confirmed, I won't comment on it. Okay, until we have the confirmation of who the shooter is, and we'll release that as part of the investigative details later.
You said that you guys are doing extra resources, and one of the things that you said was bomb technicians. So is this standard procedure, or do you have reason to believe that there are bombs somewhere in Butler County?
It's primarily standard procedure of any suspicious packages. In this case, there was identification of suspicious packages around where the shooter was. And so we deployed, in an abundance of caution, bomb assets to make sure that those were cleared for investigators to move safely in the area. We're still working on, it's still an active crime scene. So I'm not going to say that the scene is 100% clear at this time.
Why are there any Secret Service agents here?
Good question.
So Secret Service wasn't available for the press conference at this time.
Yeah, no shit.
They might have their hands full at the moment.
Exactly right.
Really anything. I don't have specifics on what they were looking at, but there's people in the crowd will leave bags as they're fleeing the scene.
Yeah,
like
Joe, this is actually one of those kind of things. They kind of, federal law enforcement kind of get shanghaied into larger things when there just aren't enough bodies, right? That's why you see a lot of like other
ATF
agents.
is there because there are explosive devices that are being dealt with.
Right. But they'll pull anybody into these things when.
Oh yeah, there's probably a postal inspector standing up
We're
there
still
too.
trying to figure that out. So we'll wait till we have more definitive information regarding that investigatively.
What about the person in the crowd? Do you have any information about how they were killed?
My understanding was it was from the shooter, but again, those will be details that are released later.
Do you search homes or apartments as a part of your method of identifying the individual?
So if that's where the leads take us, absolutely.
Was Donald Trump hit with a bullet? Do you know for sure, or was it potentially something else that could have?
I don't have that specific information as far as the injuries to the former president.
I understand you're not releasing the suspect's identification right now, but as you know, is this person known to you guys? Is he somebody that you guys have been looking at for your threats he's possibly made online, et cetera, et cetera?
Again, the information that we currently have, we're looking at that obviously very intently. And as we know that information, we'll release that as well. So we'll need to plan.
Will you be charging CNN as a co-conspirator?
Oh, come on,
we're
say
looking
the
at all
line.
Investigative leads and all everything from, and that's why we asked the public.
Say the line. He was on our
all
radar.
kinds of information that we'll use to
Well,
fully
we can't reveal that yet.
flesh out exactly.
You're going to
what
find
happened.
out. That
they're
he's
not
been
even.
recorded
Yeah, they're not
repeatedly
even.
by several people. He was in.
Oh man,
He was in a few treatment programs, and he had a new girlfriend.
I don't
you're gonna
have
hear
that
all this
information as
stuff.
far as that.
Okay,
That'll come out in the investigation.
I just saw the video of the
as far as the
victims
civilians
being taken away. The man who lost his life is.
So we do have identification on those. We're not prepared to release
I'd
it at
say
this
probably
time.
over.
We have notified
over 50
a number of family
pretty
members,
easily.
but
probably
they
in
have
his
not had an
60s or
opportunity
70s.
to talk extended family and things. I would confirm for you that we did have one individual killed, and I know I heard somebody say about 2 victims. There were 3 in total besides the former president. So 2 critically wounded, 1 killed.
At this point, you know if they were sitting near each other and where.
That's 4, not 3. Just for the record.
I don't have their exact seating by individual. Again, that'll all be part of the investigation, but their shots were scattered somewhat, and so they weren't just into one particular location.
Literally every tweet.
Can we pause it for just a second? I just want to say, folks, one of the things that we haven't highlighted, because I don't have a fucking stomach for it, is the number of leftist accounts who are celebrating the one who was killed.
Absolutely. I want to point something else out. The lieutenant colonel here, special operations of the Pennsylvania State Police, has not said the word Trump one time. He has simply said the former president.
Former president, yeah.
It would be interesting to see what his political leanings are and what his donations are. I'm not saying that that's important from this press conference perspective. It is important from an objective investigative standpoint.
Let me pick that back up.
So there was 1 victim of the shooter who was killed, and then the shooter was killed. Yes, ma'am.
1 victim of the shooter.
They saw a semi-automatic rifle used by the shooter. Can you share any details?
I've heard those reports as well, and again, we do have a good idea of what the weapon was, but again, that's all part of the ongoing investigation. And I'm not trying to be cagey about that. When the SAC talked about the need to be very methodical and to be cautious with that scene, we are doing just that. We don't want anybody else getting hurt. And candidly, there are some concerns that we'll be able to talk more about later on about just what those concerns are and continue to be. That's all part of the investigation.
There are a lot of really angry people. Are you monitoring? Have there been any threats in response to this? Are you worried? Have there been any specific threats?
That's certainly a concern, and we're monitoring that whole situation. I mentioned that we're bringing a lot of assets to bear, and so like the FBI utilizing their analysts, we also have the Pennsylvania Criminal Intelligence Center. We will utilize the resources of our intelligence division and the Criminal Intelligence Center to be able to monitor for concerns about any threats, regardless of the side of the issue or the political spectrum. We want to make sure that we try and avoid any further violence.
But no, nothing specific so far.
No, sir.
Interesting.
Can you say anything about the other folks who were injured or killed? Were they adults, men, male, female, anything else?
They were adults, and they're male.
All 3.
Yes.
How difficult it is for your department to know where all your departments get from top? You see how many members include civilians?
So I'm gonna pause here.
I will notice that I've noticed that words matter. Words matter. And have you noticed that all these leftists that are coming out are only condemning? They're specifically condemning political violence. They're not condemning the assassination attempt against Trump.
Absolutely right. Absolutely
You know why?
Right.
They don't give 2 shits about Trump. They're worried that this is going to become commonplace and that they're next.
His point right there was he just threatened the right wing, right? We have a criminal intelligence section, and it's going to be looking for threats no matter which side of the spectrum they come from. That was meant only for one side to hear.
Why listen to feds talk about it when we can actually watch it?
This video is actually not useful because it's blurred out.
It's what?
It's blurred
so
out.
It's blurred out, and
but so like
they
this
also move the camera at the key moment.
Yeah, this is the guy right here as he starts shooting. Now, I think they blur him out because of he takes rounds is the reason why. They don't want to show him being a dead guy.
And
I'm just saying,
why?
I
That's
don't,
literally the point of the video.
I know. I don't have a problem with it. You don't have a problem with it. Clearly, TMZ, for whatever reason, we're eventually going to get a non-blurred out version of this.
I was just actually, let me say this publicly right now. There is a version of this video that exists. It sucks because unfortunately they turn the camera right at the key moment, but it exists. Find it, send it to me. I'll give you some kind of reward.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll just watch this real quick.
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
Yeah, there he is, blurred now. So anyway,
for everyone on Twitter who said that I was sharing an unsourced photo, I got that photo of the kid before the shooting from somebody who couldn't give it to me. Now that it's out there, it's clear that it was indeed the shooter.
Yeah.
And I have to ask you this. Why do we have such a good photo of him sitting on the ground just before he climbed up there? I've seen the movie Shooter. I know why we do.
Yeah. No, look, there's
because the guy gave him the gun.
Many people on the ground have said many things about the fact that law enforcement and Secret Service were made aware of this minutes before it happened. Minutes.
Yeah.
There is no excusable time schedule here.
And since they let the cat out of the bag in that thing, when they said that they can't actually process the scene because there's still a risk of people being harmed at the scene, there were multiple potential devices found, one of which was between where the ambulances were and where the motorcade came out of. So it would lead me to believe the shots were intended to move the motorcade into range of an IED that may not have gone off. Now, there's an agency that's well known for giving people IEDs that do not go off.
Particularly fugly-looking leftist weirdos who have a hard time adapting to society.
I'm just saying.
Hey, Watcher, what's this thing you're sharing?
Oh, just funny. This is a guy. You may have seen that image of the guy with the Southern flag in the background playing Look Away on a Chinese instrument. He made a post just now. Breaking President Trump, I await command. Small, weak, gay liberal men must destroy country. Try assassination attempt. Not allow. All small, weak, liberal gay man will perish at hand of Manchu.
All right. I think we're going to see some humor come out of this. I mean, as we get further away from it, we're going to be able to laugh about it a little more. I mean, I'm
been laughing about it. My man wore my man wore cargo shorts to a gunfight, and it served him exactly as I told you all it would.
Yeah, well, he never got off the roof, but if he did, he probably would have skinned his knees on the way down.
Well, he got skinned up. He got skinned up pretty darn bad wearing his cargo shorts.
People are starting to harvest this guy's social media accounts before they get taken down. So keep an eye out for those.
That's actually an important thing. Getting that social media scraped. I know a guy, so
yeah, hopefully, yeah. Well, there are guys out there that will. I mean, the OSINT, not the BroSINT, but the OSINT community is getting almost better than the feds at that kind of stuff.
I tell you, I reached out to Shelby right after this happened, and he said that what he's hearing from CNN is that they're going to tone back the rhetoric, actually. And that's actually a good thing. If some good comes of it in that regard, that'd be fantastic. But it's clear to me that I think it was NBC did not get that memo because they're already talking about the risk of right-wing violence in response to it. So That's not
Hey.
dialing back the rhetoric.
Well, speaking of dialing back to rhetoric, who knows? Maybe they're just worried because the last guy who said a shooting was staged got sued for over $1 billion.
Well, that's true.
Speaking of Shelby, he's got a freaking dissertation that he's put out here on X about his kind of. Here's my initial assessments of tonight's event. See, that's already lowering the temperature
over here in Signal, but yeah.
Yeah, already lowering the temperature of political discourse. There's a legitimate concern about political violence being normalized after tonight. Copycats agree. I agree with that. There will still be protests at next week's RNC. There's been some talk of left-wing protests. I think the protests at the DNC will be bigger than the protests at the RNC. But that's more of an internal fight than it is a protest.
Well, I also think now, too, that you will see some right-wing groups protest the DNC.
I think you're right. I think regular people are going to, there will be some regular people motivated to turn out.
But I would also be watching for the big false flag at the DNC.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and look, somebody mentioned it earlier, and I was trying to bring it up, and we ended up doing something else, but somebody brought up the fact that I think, look, the evil, fucked up people who are behind all this shit, their next play is going to be to try and take out Biden.
Which cell we're in?
I've read Blue Dawn. I've seen that.
I've seen how that works, right? Yeah, Robert Barnes. Yeah, so when I've seen that too, the direct comparison to the Trump flag and the fist and the Iwo Jima picture. I'll share that. That's worth a share. I mean, they're just both iconic images, this guy
right there, first of all, that's going to be a historic image, like forever.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And that image is that's his entire campaign right there.
Well, I mean, look, the man took a bullet and thought he might die any second, and stood up and addressed the crowd and told them to fight.
Yeah, I actually want to share that video because we haven't shared that video yet.
Have they confirmed he was only hit once? Because as we saw with Ronald Reagan didn't think he'd been shot until they got to the hospital. And it was found that he was shot. So.
Sorry, my headphones just died. If you guys were talking to me for the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, he was just talking about, Ronald Reagan didn't realize he had been shot until they got to the hospital.
I haven't. Teddy Roosevelt said was, "I believe I have just been shot."
he literally made fun of the dude in the speech too, like literally dissed on the dude.
I'm going to ask y'all to quiet down because I've just been shot.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to be as loud as I normally am. So they say he's been released from the hospital. So, just look at that. I mean, this is, he's pissed that that somebody did this. There is like
those agents are like, dude, we got to get you moving, sir. And now I know a lot of people are going to say maybe he staged this for sympathy. That's too risky. Taking a gunshot to the ear in the wind. No.
Yeah, there's no way in hell this was staged.
Happening. No.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Shelby actually said something in his little dissertation here about the chances of riot are not this is not a 2020, 2024 is never going to be 2020 again. And I kind of agreed with him because there's no hot button issues out there to get the non actors, right? i.e. to turn out. And there were two things that happened in 2020 that turned people out. And that was the Floyd deal and it was COVID, and people were freaking tired of being cooped up. By May, June, people were tired of sitting in quarantine. And that was one of the things that turned people out. So we don't have that situation. But that being said, I think
this just created it. I'm sorry, but
no. If anything, it should motivate the right, not the left. But here's the thing: it does motivate the small percentage of those highly charged political actors who are willing to potentially become martyrs for the non-theistic left-wing religion.
Yeah,
but
they're going to be twice as desperate as they were this morning. No,
but there are a very small percentage of the actual people who turn out in a big that are those people, right? Most of the useful idiots don't give a shit. Let me be honest. Most useful idiots are just kind of like, well, shit, I'm not going. I'm not going to the Antifa rally that my girlfriend was going to invited me to because,
Personally, listen, this is a weird thing, but I've been talking about mimetic strategies and I've been thinking about them, and I should probably start actually saying them out loud. The good one the other day was flood the zone with Project 2025 memes. But the one for this is, I would say, flood the zone with not even making fun of them. Try and flood the zone with leftists running away to other countries instead of sticking it out to fight.
Did you see this, Joe?
Yeah. Oh.
The ladder. This guy's saying inside job. Yeah. Inside job is what this guy's saying. I mean, we're not,
No, you could say we're not. I am. I've been saying this
since the beginning. To be on the roof. There's no way that
I've been saying it since the beginning.
Right.
No, I've been saying this since the beginning. They're like, forget even if somebody wasn't assigned to the roof, as retarded as that all is, people were screaming for minutes that someone had a gun.
So here's the deal. Working in a private detail, not the same as the Secret Service, we would never have allowed an unsecured roof with a sight line to where a protected person was speaking.
Right.
And that's in Iraq and Afghanistan, right? You still wouldn't do it here.
Yeah.
It's basic shit. It's like really basic shit that got skipped over. And
so Thomas Matthew Crooks, 16001 anti-fascist.
There you have it.
There you have it. Yep.
I look
just an idea.
I look forward to the anti-fascist purge.
Well, it's just an idea, right, Joe? I mean, so why would you need to purge an idea? Ideas can't pick up guns and shoot people.
So here's the bad thing, right? So we're all saying that Secret Service screwed up on this, and Secret Service is even about to say that. That's going to happen. But what this means then is that the pendulum is going to swing way the other way, and we're suddenly going to turn anywhere near where a president or presidential candidate is speaking into a literal militarized zone. And you're going to give up a lot more rights, and you're going to have a lot more militarized police intrusion into your life because of it. That's one of the basic principles of terrorism. Cause the state to overreact in response. So just brace yourself for that. You're not going to be able to go anywhere near one of these events without getting through 3 or 4 cordons and it looking like you're actually debarking in Haiti. So,
this is one of those kind of things where we've already kind of said we don't anticipate the Second Amendment crowd to have much to worry about this because it's kind of hard to drum up support on anti-gun support when the target is a pro-gun president, right? Do you think there are going to be any of the kind of usual suspects coming out of say, this is a call for we've already started saying that political violence has no place in politics, and because of our
the usual suspects who grift off of it, right? The Giffords group, the Brady group, they're all going to say the same usual tired tropes. But the fact of the matter is that it was probably lawfully obtained, and there's really not much you could do about it. I don't really see it getting any traction. I do see them saying a couple of things, but the bigger issue here is who it was. And they're going to have a problem painting any part of someone shooting at Donald Trump as bad. They're going to say the words they have to say. But just like that lieutenant colonel we just heard from the state police, they can't bring themselves to say shooting Trump was bad. He said the former president was a victim. He did not say Donald Trump. And I get it. He's trying to be apolitical, but he's purposefully is not saying his name.
Actually, he said there were 3 victims and Donald Trump.
Yeah, 3 victims and the former president. Yes. as if the former president was not a victim. So crazy.
All right. Let's see. Anything else, guys? I feel like we're getting to tracer burnout here.
I'm at two completely unrelated notes that I want to mention. First of all, I was looking at your flight itinerary, and ironically, because of the magics of the international dateline, you arrive in Missoula at exactly the same moment.
Same time.
The same moment in time that you depart from South Korea, which is it's like magic, right?
I know it's that. This is not the first time that's happened, but yeah, it's
Like
it's
I've
funny
lost
as
13
well.
hours of my life. How did that happen? But I got it back.
I get it back. Well, that was like always like when I was in college. I was 3 hours away, but I was in Central Time Zone, right? Whereas my home in Louisville was, in Eastern Time Zone. And every time I would drive to Louisville, my drive was only an hour and a half because
But it took 2.5 hours. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I always gained time going, but I always lost. It was the same thing going back. I would always lose an hour going back, and it was just always frustrating. So when I go back, it's a 48-hour flight.
I've got your radio pouch packed, and a hat that I got for you. But
very good.
Sunburst Designs is coming, and he's bringing some of those sweet Desert Tiger Stripe radio pouches. I think we can probably talk him out of a couple.
Oh, I would love to have one of those. The Desert Tiger. I have like an emotional connection to that because that's what the only actual commandos worth a damn in Afghanistan. That was their camo pattern. So I have a soft spot in my heart for
and Matt wears some in some of his classes because he was issued some as part of their work with that particular group. So they weren't issued; they were authorized to wear them because of their work with that unit.
There's something that I want to say before as kind of I guess my sign off. As a former combat marksmanship instructor who has led many people through Mojave Viper, I will say that Trump's reaction to contact was better than some guys who have literally drilled for years. It was faster than a lot of guys who have drilled for years.
There's a story out there that most people don't know, but Trump intervened in a robbery once on the street. He ordered his limousine to stop, and he got out and he fought off the attacker and took care of the woman afterward. So the guy's tough. The guy is tough. So
yeah, but don't you guys remember his WrestleMania appearance? I mean, he acquitted himself well in the squared circle there too.
Seriously, we talk about that incident in protective circles and say never ever allow your client to do this, and that was before he had a big detail and all that stuff. But it is a well-known event or a little-known event that Donald Trump intervened in a street robbery once. So
isn't that literally what he pays you people for?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have any at the time.
Well, okay, fair, but like the driver, even. I mean, come on.
Well, so here's the thing. I wanted to lead with this, but we literally forgot about it, and we got past it. I want to come back to it. I think this is the final thing that I want to draw the attention of our audience to 157 watching on YouTube, and let's see where we're at on 239 over on Rumble. By the way, what's that?
Incident. Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, we weren't live on X today because we forgot to pay our X bill. So we will we'll be paying that bill, and we'll be back on X within a couple of days or two. So this is from DC Drano. Secret instructions given to news reporters telling them to play down Trump's attempted assassination. These people are evil. So here's the notes. Trump rally story. Hello. Reminder to stick to facts. Don't speculate, editorialize, sensationalize, or jump to conclusions. While reporting on the Trump rally incident today, don't call it an assassination attempt unless authorities say it. Don't say a shooting targeting Trump or the rally unless authorities confirm that connection. Clarify it's actually gunshots. If it's actually gunshots, that's unclear at the moment. if authorities don't know, then it's okay to say that. I mean, the guy died of a gunshot wound to the head. You could say it was gunshots. Clarify, let's see, anchors. Reminder to be mindful of body language when presenting the story. No need for serious face or adding comments.
No
and
need
adjectives
for
color.
serious face when a
Right.
man died.
Yeah. No need to say scary moments today at Trump rally. Just get to the story. At this moment, no need to for guests to comment. Again, this is all just, these people are absolutely out to lunch.
You don't hate the media enough.
Exactly right. These people.
Yeah, I've gone beyond that the last few days. It's not possible to hate them as much as they deserve to be hated.
And then so these people have the correct response to the media, of course. So it's that's good to see. But I'm just kind of going through some of the responses here.
So prediction. Interestingly, as much as there are a bunch of wacko leftists riled up tonight, I think the official left will actually significantly tone down their rhetoric after this.
I wonder if there was a reason why he fell down.
Yeah, Secret Chef rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally.
Actually, he didn't fall. He dove for cover.
Yeah, he took cover, which is exactly what you should do when you're under direct fire.
Contact
Well,
right.
That one right there goes hard. When Democrats don't get their way, they get dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here. Joe, I know you were busy earlier, so we were literally we just given up hope that you'd be able to join us at the end of the second hour. And then sure enough, like the clarion call and you appeared. So we got another good hour and 45 minutes out of this show after you were able to pop in. And I appreciate you doing that.
Can I comment on that tweet that's up there right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe that there's a solid and legitimate reason that the Secret Service isn't there today. And it's also why you got a bunch of leaked photos from the Secret Service flying around the internet.
Yep.
They're still mad about Mar-a-Lago. The Secret Service and the FBI are not exactly vibing right now. They're not exactly getting along. And I believe that at this point, the Secret Service is like, look, we've got one job and we're going to do that right now. And we're at the scene and we're doing our thing. And I don't think they're turning the scene over to the FBI. I think that's why there was some tension and he didn't know some answers he probably should have. And that's why the Secret Service isn't there. I think that they're concerned that the FBI might not be as objective as they are. So,
you know, Robert Romano's got a good point here. I think one of the things that's eventually going to come out, no matter it may not change anything, but I think this fact will come out as a fact versus like what we think. It will show political interference with, presidential protection detail. And I think that's going to be probably one of the most damning things on the political side of the fallout to come out of this. So I think that will be interesting to watch out for.
And you're going to see whistleblowers from the Trump detail come out of this. And they're
100%.
going to get fired and they're going to get harassed and they're probably going to get prosecuted for violating their security clearances. But it also might need to happen.
I'm going to share. This is my final. By the way, Joe, any other final thoughts?
Now, listen, come out and join us in Montana. This makes it that much more important. Come to Shield Field Days. I've been talking to Brandon all day. The website, it's going to be there. But you can make your travel plans without the website. Come on out. August 2nd through the 4th. My class is the 26th to 28th. If you can only make one, come to Field Days. Come to Field Days.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, good community building, kind of opportunity to let off. Let's be honest.
Hey, you'll also know where to go when things go sideways.
a place, if you need a place for help, then, you could do worse. That being said, it's going to be hard to get there. But this, it's going to be fun, right? And by the time it comes around at the beginning of August, we're all going to need to kind of do a little stress relief. And so it'll be a good opportunity to be around people who you can. And hey, listen, we're not gonna be out there Fed posting and all that kind of stuff. That guys like me and Joe are very sober about this kind of stuff. But at the same time, when the cameras are off, we will express our frustrations, right? No, there will be no calls to action for anything stupid. And if anybody shows up and starts doing that, we will, show them the door. Because that's not what we're not. Yeah, with that, we will not refund them. They'll be lucky if they get to keep their wallet. It's going to be a good event. And how much fun it's got. I'm not that fun. I'm pretty boring. You just ask my family.
Natalie, he's almost as fun as me, but you know that already. So.
But it depends on how drunk I am, Joe.
Listen, we will not mention St. Augustine. You were not there for that one.
That's true. That's true. I wasn't, but who remembers the old drunk stream?
I did pick this up in Oklahoma for us. So,
very good. What is that? Let's see the label.
It's some cheap tequila that they had samples of. Don and I sampled it, and we were like, "That's legit." So we got a couple bottles. So this lady had free samples in the liquor store, and I was like, "If I walk out and come back in, can I have another one?" She's like, "I don't care."
Very nice. Hey, Watcher, final thoughts.
We cannot share a country with these people. It is not possible. Those are my final thoughts.
I will just leave it there. Very good. And here's my final thought here. I'm going to share my screen here for a second. This is my tweet on why this is happening. I say, I wonder why someone would want to kill the former president, ... A Washington Post opinion. Yes, it's okay to compare Trump to Hitler. Don't let me stop you now. So everybody, and even Dianica agrees. Thank you, Dianica. Everybody, scratching their head about, where's this coming from?
What could possibly have been his motive?
So we know what the motive was. Now we get to see what happens.
That revealed exactly how biased the FBI is, because they're the only people who don't know the motive right now.
They have always been the people they proclaim you are.
Yeah, that was literally what they were born for, and here they are still doing it. Anyway, sorry, Scott.
No, you're good. I mean, you just remember, no Republicans came out of the woodwork for the last 4 years to try to assassinate our president or the current president, or during the 2020 election cycle to assassinate him then either. It's telling to see which side is the one that does this type of thing. All right. That's all we got for the show today. Almost 4 hours of goodness. I think we have done a pretty good job of bringing you guys a good cross section of what's going on out there in the world on this event. As I stream through my my Twitter thread, literally every tweet has something to do with this. So clearly, this is on everybody's minds. We're going to have to work through it for the next, 48 hours or so, just to kind of really get ground truth on what's going on. I think
there are no unusual Russian or Chinese troop movements, so that's actually a good thing. So.
Yeah, right. Well, I think the international actors are just kind of going, well, we know who we're going to have to deal with.
Robert Fico's on the phone right now to Viktor Orban. Brother, I told you, you need to tone down, right?
Right.
Orban does need to be nervous. I know Stan tweeted that earlier. It's absolutely true.
So we're on Monday morning. We will go into this again. We'll probably do another show catching up with, what's Monday morning, 36 hours from now. So we'll catch up on all of the, we'll be right at the end of the 48-hour rule. So we can really kind of get into the nitty-gritty, because a lot of stuff's going to come out. We will also be focusing on foreign responses to this event, which it should be interesting. And we will just kind of have a little more perspective on this. So that's what we'll be talking about on Monday. Hopefully we'll have a good show, good lineup for you guys. I know the three of us will be there. Hopefully we can get a couple of our other battle brothers in the council to show up. I know a lot of people are going to have some.
I really want to hear what Jim has to say about this, because he seems a little fired up. So.
Jim was fired up. Now that being
He was
said,
here
Jim,
earlier.
yeah, Jim, yeah, I would recommend actually going back. Jim came in about halfway through, so about in the second hour, and he definitely expressed himself. That being said, he's a little more conciliatory than say Stan, right? He wants to engage
Colonel
with
Bennett
people.
was also a little more conciliatory, and Stan slammed the door on him. So.
Well, yeah, and Stan said, "Listen, I don't have any problem with these people, but I absolutely disagree with where we are. They're both looking
It's
towards
time
the
to stop
past."
trying to convince them and just realize you can't. Right.
It kind of goes back to this thing that we've said a lot of times, Joe. You don't have the world. You have to live in the world that you have, not the world that you wish you had.
Not the world you ought to have. Yep. Absolutely.
So, yeah, and that's kind of the final word for me on this, guys. If you haven't done already, please like the channel or subscribe to the channel. Like this video. If you could give this video a like, that would be great. We're gonna probably get a lot more views on this than we normally do, so I'd appreciate if you helped push it out there a little more. If you found this coverage interesting and worthwhile.
Wait. We have to end with this. This just came across, and I'm going to share this. You will get a link for this as soon as we're done. Here's an official fundraiser for the victims of the shooting in Pennsylvania.
Okay, let's see that. JD Vance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share this around. This is the official one. It's shared out by JD Vance, so it's official. If you're going to spend some money somewhere tonight, that in my opinion,
and it's already raised $68,000.
This is where to send it.
And it says President Trump authorized, and this is being shared by JD Vance. So clearly, it's it's something.
It's legit. Yeah.
It says President Trump has authorized this account as a place for donations for the supporters and families wounded or killed at today's brutal and horrific assassination attempt. All donations will be directed to these proud Americans as they grieve and recover. May God bless and unite our nation. Yep.
Let me say one final time. A watchstander on the roof or around that building would have prevented this from ever happening in the first place. Ask yourself why there wasn't one.
Basic SOP for area security.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, that's all we got today, folks. If you would, like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, send that link out to your buddies, let them know where you can get good info about this kind of stuff. And join us on Monday morning when we will go over, we'll recap a lot of what comes out of the next 36 hours. Thank you guys all. And, in light of what just happened, it's more true than ever. Make sure you stay safe.